Good evening and welcome to the June 20th, 2024 meeting of the Town of Southampton Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held live and also via video conferencing in accordance with the Town Board's enactment of Local Law Number 14 of 2022. Our next meeting and those following also will be held in person here at Town Hall and will continue to allow for remote participation. So please keep checking the town's website for updates and any new information. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only and not participate, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website for viewing access. With that, I'd like you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those of you with us tonight, in case of an emergency situation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases across the hall and continue downstairs and out through the main entrance. Do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall from this room. We'll begin this meeting with public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public here with us live and also standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. CTV will mute the speakers on Zoom until it's their time to give testimony before the board, so please be patient. If you find you're having difficulties accessing the hearing, visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Also, for those of you in this boardroom, please silence your cell phones and refrain from speaking to one another as it interferes with the recording of our proceedings. Tonight, board member Helen Burgess is participating via Zoom. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking, other than attorneys, will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. In order to consider properly every application before us, individuals commenting on a particular application have a time limit of 3 minutes. Also, before handing in any submissions to the board tonight, please make sure the documents identify the ZBA application name and tax map number. The application name should also be written on your certified receipts. Unless otherwise stated at the end of an individual application hearing, all applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until a set date. Those written comments can be addressed to the members of the board and sent via email, mail, and are dropped off at Town Hall with the board secretary, Candace Cowell. At this time, I'd like to take a motion to approve the minutes of our June 4th meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion is carried. Okay, John, do you want to take us through the agenda?
Yes, okay. So we're going to start with number 9 on the agenda, 50 Clearview LLC, 50 Clearview Drive, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-10-1-24. This application will be adjourned to 9/5.
Second name?
Yes, we take votes on that.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye.
Number 10 on the agenda, Marie Daly, 9 Pine Road, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-5-5-29. This application will be adjourned to August 1st. Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 11 on the agenda, Brian Farrell, 11 Robbins Lane, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-62-1-10. This application will be adjourned to October 3rd. Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 12 on the agenda, 2297 Montauk LLC, 2297 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-86-1-3. This application will be adjourned to October 3rd. Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 13, 3310 Noyak LLC, 3310 Noyak Road, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-14-1-66.5. This application will be adjourned to July 18th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
Number 15, 911 Flanders Road LLC, 9 and 11 Flanders Road, Riverside, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-138-2-31 and 32. This application will be adjourned to August 15.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, the following decisions will be adjourned to the July 18th meeting. Martha Chabla, Eva Wisnowski, and Dennis and Arlene O'Rourke.
Second.
Yeah, we take a vote on that.
Yeah, second.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
Decision of Ronette Riley will be adjourned to the August 1st meeting.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair, Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
The following decisions will be adjourned to the August 15th meeting. West Hampton Boat Works and Storage, LL. And where's
And
the other
Patel.
one? Dilip Patel and Sabjit Kaur Dillon.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
The decision of Alexander Vayman will be adjourned to the September 19th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
Candace, do I have to make the motions? Can I lump two of them together if they're the same thing?
To reopen.
Oh, to reopen and then to close? I have to do them separately? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I move to reopen the application of 342 Fieldhouse LLC.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
I move to close.
We just said to accept written submissions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you want me to do it again?
No.
No, just said if you open to accept written submissions.
Yeah, I already said reopen part. You
That's
want me-
okay.
Okay.
We acknowledge that it was to reopen, to
To
accept
reopen
written
written submissions.
submissions.
Okay. And I move to close the application on 342 Fieldhouse LLC for decision tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Move to reopen for written submissions the application of Mickey and Allison Bayer-Clausen.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
And I move to close the hearing on Mickey and Allison Bayer-Clausen for decision later tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I move to reopen the application of Michael Ciancio to accept written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I move to close the hearing on Michael Ciancio for decision later tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I make a motion to reopen the application of Matthew Frank.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
I move to schedule a public hearing in the application of Matthew Frank for September 19th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to reopen the application of Eric J. Belfi and Tara Belfi.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
And I move to schedule a public hearing on the application of Eric J. Belfi and Tara Belfi on September 19th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to reopen the application of Mark Smith and Heather Cole.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
I move to schedule a public hearing on the application of Mark Smith and Heather Cole on September 19th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to reopen the application of J10 Properties LLC.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
And I move to schedule a public hearing on the application of J10 Properties LLC on September 19th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to reopen the application of Aaron Appel.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
And I move to schedule a public hearing on the application of Aaron Appel on September 19th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to reopen the application of Airpac 79 Holdings LLC for written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
And I move to close the application of Airpac 79 Holdings LLC for a decision later tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, I move to reopen the application of Sarah Coyne and Alexander Nedeljkovic for written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
And I move to close the application of Sarah Coyne and Alexander Nedeljkovic for decision later tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, John.
Okay, number one on the agenda, 43 Newtown LLC, 43 Newtown Road, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-188-1-11. Applicant requests relief from the Town Code Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal front yard setback from 40 feet to 37.2 feet for a one-family dwelling on non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Good evening, everyone. My name is Martha Reichert, Toomey Latham Shea, Kelly Dubin, and Quartararo, 33 West 2nd Street, Riverhead, New York, for the applicants. I believe this is a somewhat straightforward application in that we're seeking a front yard setback or 2.8 relief. A building permit was issued. There was an error with the surveyor in terms of then, so it was only discovered that the house was built 2.8 feet less than the required setback when the as-built was prepared. And in fact, the building department issued a certificate of occupancy, but for housekeeping purposes, we thought it best to put belts and suspenders on this and get a front yard variance to memorialize this for the future. I actually have a letter from one of the adjoining neighbors who called me up today and said we'd like to support it.
Would you like to read it?
Sure, I'll read it into the record. All right, it's dated June 20th, 2024, Southampton Town ZBA. I am the owner of 46 Newtown Road, LLC. My property at 46 Newtown Road is directly across the street from 43 Newtown Road. I reside at 29 Shinnecock Road in Hampton Bays. I have reviewed the ZBA application of 43 Newtown Road, LLC. I fully support granting the needed variance in the application. It will have no physical or environmental impact on the neighborhood, and the 2.8 feet is not a significant request. Tony Villareale, 46 Newtown Road, LLC. I'd like to submit a copy into the record. Do you need multiple copies or just one?
I think just one.
I only need one. Does anybody need
No.
a copy?
No, that's fine.
Yep.
Like, no.
Thank you.
Now that you've read it into the record, we don't need it. Okay.
I think Mr. Villareale took my whole spiel for you in terms of the variance standards. I believe that, this was a survey error that resulted in the non-conforming setback. But with respect to the surrounding neighborhood, this is a neighborhood that's characterized by lesser setbacks than 30 feet, and so there's really no inconsistency with the streetscape or the character of the community. As you can see, you have an adjoining neighbor who has put in a letter of support, doesn't create any sort of environmental impact or detriment. It really conforms with the character of the neighborhood. The 2.8 feet is, I would say, relatively a small amount. And in terms of self-created hardship, this was a an inadvertent error that was discovered only after the structure had been built.
Okay. Helen, this is yours. Do you want to start the questioning?
I came back, I visited the premises, and I looked at everything, and I have no problem with this application.
Okay. Are there any other questions from, I'm sorry, Helen, are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the board?
No.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on the application of 43 Newtown Road? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application?
No one on Zoom.
Okay. Helen, it's yours.
Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing. We're gonna leave it open for written submissions July 8th, and we'll have a decision from Martha on July 18th.
Second.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 2 on the agenda, Michael and Diana Saras, 259 Haynes Path, Sagaponic, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-54-2-27. Applicant requests a determination that the subject parcel, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-54-2-29, is held in single and separate ownership from all adjacent parcels and thus entitled to relief pursuant to Section 330-115D.
The board has jurisdiction. Can you pass that to Julie, please?
Are you an attorney?
Yes, my name is Doug Sensi. I'm an attorney
Okay.
for the applicant.
Okay, what's your residence?
My office address
Office.
is 33 Flying Point Road, Suite 123, Southampton.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
This goes to Julie. Okay, thank you. Okay, please tell us about this application.
Pretty straightforward application. My clients purchased the property at 142 Toppings Path in Bridgehampton on November 2nd, 2020. In fact, that property had been the subject of a prior single and separate determination by this board many years prior because apparently it was owned by, had fallen under common ownership. At that time, one of the lots was vacant. On November 15, 2022, the applicants purchased 259 Haynes Path. Apparently, the two properties are on two separate roads, but the backyards, I guess, abut at a certain point. And it was really an inadvertent error that they came under common ownership. My client, Michael and Diana Saras, actually purchased 142 Toppings Path to be their primary residence, which it is. When 259 Haynes Path became available for sale, and he is a builder, he decided to purchase it and further develop. Again, both of these lots were fully developed at the time that he came into ownership, or they came into ownership. 142 Toppings Path actually just had the CO issued on March 7th of 2024. He filed, Mr. Saras as the builder filed an application for a limited demolition on 259 Haynes Path, but he is, I guess the building department said we need a determination of single and separate from the board so we can fall under the old C-zone dimensions. And that's really the purpose of this application tonight. Again, 142 Toppings Path was the subject of a single and separate determination in the past, and we just are requesting that determination from this board for 259 Haynes Path. This board has granted similar relief in the past, and if the board does grant it, this property is really in keeping with the rest of the neighborhood. It's a small neighborhood, very small properties.
Julie, do you want to?
So, I drove out there
Mhm.
and I did see major bit of construction underway
Yes.
on Haynes Path.
Yes.
And I was also able to see, I mean, I didn't get out of the, but I was able to see how Toppings Path and Haynes sort of on
Yeah,
that corner
kind of
do
backyards.
abut. So it seems like an odd little
It's negligible at best,
Abutment.
yes.
And that's your knowledge of it as well, correct?
It is, absolutely.
What? Yeah, go ahead, Julie.
No,
Anything?
I don't have more questions about it. It is, you know, it's a significant construction. It is, the properties in that neighborhood are not large,
Right.
but there is nothing about it, given what's underway, that I have questions about, but I welcome others.
You know, generally, we ask the questions, cross uses, was the property ever, you know, used one?
Never.
Yeah, okay.
Never.
Separate taxes,
Yes,
okay. And there wasn't a mortgage on one property that included the other property.
that's correct. They are separately
Okay.
owned properties.
So that's usually the things that we look to in terms
Sure.
of single and separate.
Okay.
And may I
was-
just also ask one more thing, sorry? The intention is to flip this property, correct?
To sell it, yes.
The one
Yep.
on Topping's Path.
No.
No, Haynes.
No,
the one
Topping's
on
Path
Haynes.
will remain their primary
Okay.
residence, 259 Haynes. It will be offered for sale when it's
Yes.
finished. Yes.
Anybody else on our board who has a question? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on the application of 259 Haynes Path? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application?
It's in common ownership right now, though, right?
Correct.
Okay, so, I mean, typically what this board has been trying to do is to have as a condition that the common ownership be corrected within 6 months. So somebody will need to do that.
Of course, we'll do it as soon as the determination is issued.
Wait, Katie, can you say that one more time? Sorry, I cut you.
Because the properties are in common ownership right
Yes.
now, typically what we've been trying to do with the ZBA, usually you're looking at common ownership way in the past.
Yes.
You know, this one
Yes,
happens
right.
to be right now, so I've been trying to build into the decision, something that says you'll correct this common ownership within 6 months, so that they don't come back to us in a year like, we were just here, you know.
Yes,
It's just,
And the way to correct it is to
put it
hold
in somebody else's
That's his
name,
name.
one spouse,
Right.
he's an
Of course.
attorney, he knows.
Create an LLC, do
Yep.
whatever you want.
Of course.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
okay,
All right,
so,
Julie, yours?
yes, we are gonna close the public hearing, and leave it open for written public comments until July 8th, correct?
Right.
And with a decision on July 18th.
Second.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Mastonio?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3 on the agenda, Joseph G. Wagner III, Irrevocable Trust, 13 Lakeview Court, Eastport, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-349-1-16.2. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code, Section 330-84D, Pyramid Law, with a total sky plane encroachment of 2,114 cubic feet, 1,140 cubic feet to the east, and 974 cubic feet to the north, for a proposed detached garage on a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction. It's for you.
Are you an attorney?
No.
Okay, then I need to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address.
Joseph G. Wagner III, 13 Lakeview Court, Eastport, New York.
Okay. Mr. Wagner, do you want to tell us about this application?
Yes, all the garages on my block, everything was built in the 1920s. So they're basically a foot or two off of one or two property lines. So my house was built 100 years ago. The garage is the same, so it's kind of falling apart, and I need to build a new one. So I'm wondering, with your pyramid code, it encroaches quite a bit on that, being where it is. So my question is, if I move that garage 5 feet, either way or both ways, to lessen the encroachment on the pyramid code, would that be acceptable?
So you're proposing to actually replace and move the location of this garage as opposed
Yes.
to building in the same spot?
Yes.
Okay. And would that have an effect on the cubic feet that we're looking at in terms of encroachment? Or is it still the 2,114 cubic feet?
If I move the garage, because it's on the west property line, and on the north property line. So if I move the garage closer to the street,
Uh-huh.
that lessens the encroachment on that side.
Do you know what that figure is?
No, I don't.
Okay, because we would need to know that if we were going to grant a variance. We would need to have the exact figure.
Okay, and then, like I said, either that way or both ways, 5 feet to the south to change that. So
How close
I
is
can
this
get
to the property line? Is my question. Do you need relief for that? It looks, from what I can tell, it's 1.8 feet from the rear lot line.
Yeah, it's roughly 2 feet, give or take.
And you weren't told that you need any kind of relief for that?
No, he asked for it.
It's probably in the same, it's probably where it is now, right?
Right.
Yes.
So what you've given us, what you've given us on the survey is just building it in the same spot, right? But
Yes.
it must be what, slightly bigger or?
Yes, I want to make it a little longer. So
Yeah, see,
it's-
normally if you have a pre-existing
Right.
garage,
Oh,
you
I
can
see.
build
It's a
it in kind and
shadowed out.
place.
Yes.
I see it.
So
So it's a
because
smaller and you want to make it larger.
Yes.
And because he wants to make it larger, he can hold that setback, but he has to ask for variances for anything that's increasing the degree of nonconformity, which here would be the pyramid. I'm sure there's a pyramid encroachment now.
Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
So,
No, if you were willing to move it from the northeast property line, what did you say, 5 feet? That should bring down the pyramid relief, and that would be great.
Yeah, if it was brought to the south from the north side, that would
Right,
reduce
if you-
the pyramid on
Yeah,
that
because
angle.
your property's a little skewed.
Yeah,
but-
so, and if I brought the garage 5 feet forward, which would be to the east, that would lessen the encroachment on the back side also.
So you're proposing moving two different ways.
Well,
5 feet and 5
that's
feet.
my question. If
Yeah.
if I have to move both ways, I'll do that. But if
Okay.
one way is good enough to
I
lessen the
would encourage
encroachment.
that.
Excuse me?
I would encourage that.
Move both ways?
Yeah, and for
Okay.
two reasons. One, I don't know who's working behind a shed and a fence with 1.8 feet of space. So, I mean, that's kind of tight. And then, there is a concern about, sometimes fires happen in garages and things like that. Being that close to a neighboring property is a tad tenuous. And if you're inclined to give some relief from the back and the side, that reduces your pyramid incursion, and I think that most people would probably look more favorably on that than as proposed. Even though, in fairness to your appearance here, every garage in your neighborhood is just where yours is.
Exactly.
So I get that. So I get it. I saw it. I was there.
Oh, okay.
But I just think if you have the room and you have the inclination, pulling it off both lines, I think it's less of a variance, which is what we're supposed to manage for, and you probably have a better outcome.
Are you reusing any portion of the foundation?
No.
Okay. So then it should be easy. Would you be able to bring it into a conforming spot with regard to the rear lot line?
How far would that be?
10 feet.
10 feet.
It's 10 feet.
Forward.
Yeah,
Towards the street?
towards the house.
Well, the result has to be 10 feet. So you would, in your case, if it's 1.8, you would need to bring it 8 feet forward.
Yeah, 8.2 feet. And then the other side, if you wanted to bring it into the property 5 feet, that's fine. But I'd like to see it in a conforming location with regard to the rear lot line
If
at
it's
least.
10 feet off both lot lines where it's really close right now,
Mhm.
that's a
So
lot
what
less.
you're saying is if I do 10 feet off the back side of the garage and 5 feet off the,
5 feet more.
That should significantly.
so it's 10 feet and 5 feet.
Ideally, 10 and 10.
10 and 10.
10
But-
and 10.
Right, but I think Mr. Wagner is being incredibly,
Oh, he's being very
cooperative,
generous.
and
Agreed.
and I would like some calculation on what the new pyramid would be with, the 5. Unless if everybody feels strongly about the 10 feet off of the back line.
I'm agreeing with Susan.
Because what happens with the 10 feet from the north
Yeah.
side, that's the property line is right along there. And that's where my driveway is because my house is over here.
Yeah,
So if the garage gets moved 10 feet, that
yeah, it
kind
comes
of
right up to
changes
the.
the angle.
Well, it's only going
of
to
my
be moved to
driveway.
8 feet because you're already a foot and 1.8
but it's-
feet off the lot line.
Right.
So then you would just be adding another 8.2 feet.
Right.
So it's not that, and you have a very large amount of stone driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I would like to see you come a little more towards the house, but, you know, keep that coming off the side yard. You can keep that at 5.
Okay, can I ask this? Can I make it 8 feet?
You know what I would suggest is that you think about what you feel comfortable with and submit some new calculations for us as to what that means in terms of, and then we will consider that.
Okay.
You know, if, I don't know, I mean, I'm not opposed to you, you know, being gracious here and trying to do 5 and 5. I'm not opposed to that. There seems to be a sentiment that if you could do a little bit better, that would be welcome. So why don't you give consideration to what you could do better, if at all, and either stick with the 5 and 5 or come up with something better. But we need to know what the pyramid encroachment would be, or
Okay.
whatever it is.
The
Okay.
5 and 5 may cut down your pyramid relief.
Significantly, yeah. Well,
I
and
mean,
even more so if you did more. But
Yeah.
why don't you, Kevin, this is yours, so why don't
Yeah, well, I appreciate everybody's leadership on this. It's terrific. It's the exact conversation I was going to have. So this is, and I,
Sorry,
you know,
we're
if you can consider this conversation, right, and think about what else would you consider doing, knowing what you heard, and then if there's any comments from the public, I guess we should ask if
Yes, we
if,
will,
if
but
there
yeah.
are. So should we do that now?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Is anybody here from the public that wishes to be heard on this application? Anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on the application?
Okay.
I'm assuming no. So,
Right.
um,
Can I just ask one more
Go
question
ahead,
before? What's the height of this new garage? Is it
13
the
feet.
same height as the existing garage?
I think it's a little bit taller.
Okay.
It wasn't a flat roof, right? Your old one?
My old garage is a slanted flat roof.
That's
The
actually
new
an
one would
interesting
be,
thing.
has
I'm
been-
seeing
yeah.
on your drawings that it says to the ridge is 37.2 feet.
That's the elevation. The height is 13 and change.
Right. You see the,
Okay.
yeah, see is the height, okay. Okay, I just wanted to know if there was like a substantial increase in height for the new garage versus the old. And what's your answer to that? Is there a substantial increase in height
No,
being
not really.
proposed? Okay. All right, you know, you've gotten some feedback.
Should we leave it open until July? Well, what do you want to do?
You want to do written comments, or you want them to come back?
Why don't we do?
I think, what do you
Can
think?
you
Eddie?
get something back to us in what, by July 8th? That sounds kind of hurried, doesn't it?
It's just the holiday in between there.
What's that? With a holiday in between? Yeah, that's unreasonable unless you like stress.
Well, we have dates. We have dates coming up of July 18th, August 1st, August 15th. So what timing do you think you would need in order to redo the plans, provide us with the additional pyramid calculations based on what you come up with?
Okay, would you need a survey for?
The survey would have to show the 5 foot.
To show-
Yeah, we would need a new
Okay.
survey and new plans.
Yeah, it usually takes them guys 2 to 3 weeks or more before they get back to me.
Maybe in
So,
August.
yeah, so, yeah,
What
maybe
about
in August.
September 5th?
I think that would work.
Okay. So then why don't we
Hold it open.
Adjourn.
leave the hearing open till
Right, when would he have to submit by for September 5th?
You said for September 5th? I would say beginning of August.
August 14th, you know, probably.
Like the first week or 2 of August.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that
We get it to the
doable?
board.
Okay. Sure.
if you need more time, let us know.
Okay.
And just so he knows, you can also just do the architectural plans.
Yeah, we don't-
You know, the survey can come later. So the architectural plans, the board really just wants to know what the pyramid encroachment is.
Okay.
If they find that it's significantly reduced based on that increase, or the increase in setback, then you could have the survey revised.
Okay.
So in other words-
Let me change the date. How long does it take for your architect to do plans?
It usually takes him 2 to 3
About the
weeks.
same timeframe? Okay.
So what you're saying is that he can come back with architectural plans based on a proposed setback, but he doesn't have to have the actual survey until we say it's okay.
Yeah.
The pyramid looks okay to us and we're willing to go with that.
That's a
Yeah,
nice
I mean,
way.
you know, you can do them simultaneously,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it's,
But that's a good way to proceed.
you know, because often we close it and we say, update that survey, and as soon as we get the
Okay.
updated survey.
Okay, but you're gonna have to commit to what the setback is in order to get the pyramid calculation, just so
Okay.
that you know.
So
Okay, so go ahead.
how do you sum that up?
Well, I think he got it.
Just
So-
adjourn till.
We're going to
September.
adjourn till the,
5th of September.
I'm sorry, the 5th of
September.
September, and we're waiting for comments from the applicant.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mr. Leonard,
Yes.
Ms.
Aye.
King, Mr. Mastodio,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you, Mr. West.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4 on the agenda, Robert Flaster and Inessa Barachov, 32 Emerson Place, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-6-2-35.21. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-6 General Regulations that references Section 330-11 Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal front yard setback from the west property line, Emerson Place, from 60 feet to 56 feet, and a principal front yard setback from future roadway Spring Lane from 60 feet to 15.5 feet for a proposed garage addition to an existing dwelling and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction. Can you pass it to John, please?
Mr. Benacasa, would you like to introduce yourself and state your address?
Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant.
Okay, so tell us about the application.
Sure. So this application, the property is 58,000 plus square feet located in the R40 zoning district. It is improved and has for close to 40 years been improved with a single-family dwelling, which boasts tennis and pool. My client purchased this property in November of last year and is undertaking significant internal renovations to the property, one of which to provide for their extended family, which includes their children and grandchildren. They're converting the existing garage into a family room and would like to add an additional garage, which is the reason we're here today. The new garage is located in a position that requires relief, one, very minor relief, and two, I would submit is an insubstantial relief as well. First, given the location of the existing driveway, the placement of existing structures, including pool equipment, and the best design practices, they were requesting a relief of 4 feet from the front yard setback from the western property line. That's from Emerson Place. So the required setback is 60 feet for a principal structure. Given this is being attached to the principal structure, this garage becomes considered the principal structure. If you can see at the location, there is a cul-de-sac which bumps the road out in a way that impedes and encroaches on what would otherwise be a lawful setback. So it's burdened in the sense that it is adjacent to that cul-de-sac. And again, the relief requested is 4 feet when 60 is required. That's relief of 6.6%. If that was the only relief we requested, we wouldn't even need a hearing because it's minor. The second relief is interesting. As you can see, it complies with side yard setbacks. So in all other circumstances, we would not really need relief. The reason we're here today for that side yard setback is because 41 years ago when this subdivision was created, the planning board insisted on creating a insisted that the subdivider grant a conditional dedication of a road that has never been opened, an extension of Spring Lane, which is a road to the north, I have some aerials here. You can see. This isn't a very good one.
Spring Lane.
But you can see here, this is Spring Lane here. So if you look here, this is Spring Lane. It's a whole nother neighborhood. And when the planning board decided to subdivide, approve this subdivision, they required a road, conditional offer of dedication for a road here that in 41 years has never been opened and proposes to connect a public road with a private road, which for numerous reasons doesn't really make sense.
Carl, just as a point of clarification,
Oh, do you
Does-
have the aerial there?
Yes.
yes,
Oh, perfect. That's the one I was looking for.
yeah, okay. Does this road above the property exist?
Spring exists.
This road up here exists?
The green line exists.
Green line
The-
exists.
Okay.
The portion we're
But
talking about
Is the
never,
continuation down to the cul-de-sac?
in 41 years has not been opened.
Okay, but that road does exist?
That does exist.
And that allows access for these other homes to have an outlet somehow?
There's an outlet right down the road here.
Okay,
And that
So-
road encroaches on this, well, the paper road encroaches on the property.
It's part of the property.
Yeah.
It is, the
Yeah.
property
A
is
large
burdened
portion
with
of it.
that condition.
Yes,
Exactly.
dedication.
Who owns that? Piece of
We,
ground?
we own the
You own it.
property.
but it's.
So the subdivision required this conditional offer, which was made at the subdivision. In
Yeah.
41 years, the town hasn't accepted it.
They're not gonna-
And they're not going to take it in. This is, if you look at the Spring Lane and Emerson Place, there's no need for them to connect. They only access each other, and they have immediate outlets. Now, the board, without that ghost road, this fully complies. But there it is, so we have to deal with it. Now, the
Ghost
board has had a
road.
similar, has seen similar situation about 2 years ago. In Quogue, there was an application. Let me just get it so I can reference it. Of Donald Noble at 14 Sandys Lane in Remsenburg, Spionk. Spionk. The exact same thing. They requested relief from this road that was never opened.
I remember.
Do you remember it?
Mhm.
It was 2 years ago. This board granted the relief, finding in large part that that road was never going to be open.
Right.
And in practice, this complied with zoning. It certainly is in character with the neighborhood, but for that paper road, this is fully compliant, except for the 4 feet request. So, based on that, this complies with all standards of zoning. It comports with what the town board's vision for setbacks is. The only thing it doesn't comply with is this antiquated condition of a subdivision that will never be utilized, and the town in 40 years has never
Is that
accepted.
your understanding?
Yeah, I mean, so it was 40-something years ago. You will find there are dozens of offers of
Hundreds.
dedication, probably hundreds, I'm sorry,
Thousands, yeah.
that just were done all these years ago. At the time, I'm presuming, obviously 40 years ago, the landscape was different out there. So when you're doing subdivisions and you're trying to plan for the future, a lot of times you do these road reverters or extensions. And in this particular case, you'll see the subdivisions occurred, the lots were developed. Now you have to go over these private properties to open up a road that connects from a public road to a private road. It's just,
Do they ever revert back or no?
I have not
No,
seen, you know,
they stay there
let's put it this
forever.
way, when he does now for road dedications, we're building roads now, today, that are ultimately gonna be dedicated. Ones that were laid out 41 years ago that have never been accepted by the town, just at this stage of the game. Particularly in this case, are not gonna be open.
John, this is yours.
I have no questions. I don't see the point of belaboring it.
I can say, just for the record, 2 neighbors have reached out to us with questions. They are not opposing the application.
I don't think anybody wants to road there.
No, I would think not.
Anybody else from the board who wishes to be heard on this application? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on 32 Emerson Place? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 32 Emerson Place? Okay. John, this is yours.
Okay, I move to set it down for written submissions on July 8th with the decision to be heard on July 18th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay.
Okay, number 5 on the agenda, Frank Michio, 47 Oaks Avenue, Flanders, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-123-3-9. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, to legalize the 10-foot by 12-foot vinyl shed, Section 330-6, general regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory rear yard setback from 8 feet to 1 foot 6 inches plus or minus, and 2, Section 330-84D, Pyramid Law for a sky plane encroachment of 337.03 cubic feet. 2, to legalize the 11-foot 10-inch by 12-foot deck attached to the vinyl shed, Section 330-6 that references Section 330-11 for an accessory rear yard setback from 8 feet to 1 foot 10 inches plus or minus, and Section 330-84D, Pyramid Law for a sky plane encroachment of 9.24 cubic feet, and 3, to legalize the 8-foot by 8-foot frame shed, Section 330-6 that references Section 330-11 for an accessory rear yard setback from 8 feet to 1 foot 10 inches plus or minus, and Section 330-84D for a sky plane encroachment of 136.99 cubic feet and any other relief necessary.
Could I just have your affidavit, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I saw you had it there. I just want to grab it. Thank you. The board has jurisdiction.
Are you an attorney?
No, I am not.
Let me swear you in. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Lori Fontana, representing McDonough and Conroy Architects at 2385 Main Street, the Atrium, Bridgehampton.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pass
Lori?
it to Susan for me.
Lori, do you want to tell us about
Sure.
your application?
So my client purchased this property around November of 2022. At the time that he purchased the property, shed number B letter B was existing, and at no time was he ever informed that that shed was not in compliance.
Which shed is that?
That's the smaller shed,
The frame shed?
the framed,
Okay,
the little one.
so that was existing.
That was existing when he purchased the property. So, in June of 2021, after living in the house full-time for several months, he realized that there was absolutely no storage in the house. So he decided to purchase a pre-built shed, and not knowing that the other shed wasn't in compliance, he basically tried to line it up with the back of that shed. And then the deck that is next to the shed is not attached to the shed. It's freestanding deck, which he built to overlook the pond that he has fish in for his grandchildren to observe. It was his error. We understand that, but he was unaware of the current codes and is asking for relief to leave it where it is, because if you look at the survey, on Oaks, there's an abandoned septic system here, which is why he avoided this area.
Over here to
Yes, to the west side of the property. And so this is there isn't much of a rear yard on this property, so this is the only area that his grandchildren can play.
Can I see what you're
Sure.
pointing to?
I can bring it to you.
Where's the?
So this area right here, there's an abandoned septic system in, so that's why he ended up putting the shed here, not here. He was recommended to not put it there over the abandoned system.
Who made that recommendation?
I think it was when he went to dig out the pond. That was when they ran into the septic system. So whoever the contractor was at the time recommended that. So
Is the shed cemented into? Is there a foundation, or is it just laying on top of the ground?
it's on blocks.
It's on blocks.
Yeah.
Okay. So that really wouldn't be affected by an abandoned septic tank.
He was following,
Yeah.
unfortunately, he was listening to the advice that he had received at the time.
What about the frame, the smaller shed? Is that on blocks as well?
That is a metal shed, and it is, I think that's sitting on cinder block.
Okay, and the wood deck, is that, does that have a foundation, or is that just lying
No,
on top
it's
of the?
just on top. We've already discussed the fact that that would have to be cemented to the ground. But he doesn't want to do anything until he knows what he
I'm not as
needs
concerned
to
about
do.
the wood deck,
I went to
It's
look
a
at the
deck,
property.
but
There's no backyard, essentially.
there is.
There is absolutely no backyard. Now, there is a playing field over the, abandoned septic system because he's got a nice big side yard
Right.
that kids can play in. There's
That's-
no
and that
reason.
was the point.
Yes, right. I'm got really confused when I was there as to where the property line was. There's a cedar. There's a fence back there. Whose fence is that? And there's a vegetable garden in the other property that's right up against the fence. I mean, I couldn't tell from
So this new metal fence that he put in around
the
where
split rail.
yeah,
He being the applicant?
the applicant.
Okay.
Is that on the property line?
Yes, that is on this side of the property line, on his
Okay,
side of the property
how
line.
much on his side of the property line?
The fence,
Yeah, is it like right,
it's
just
right
over
up,
the property?
it looks to me as if it's right on the property line.
Okay, because it was very unclear. I mean,
I think there's enough room over there to move the sheds to a conforming location.
So,
but let me just let me just go because I was there
Sure,
and I
sure,
want to
sure.
just take So the pond that he has is running water, and the deck is there.
It's just for them to sit on to view.
Yeah, I know, to view.
Right.
It's not like the swimming, or
No.
there's no swimming. It's just
No.
just a viewing area. It's
And he
it's-
put the fence around for safety.
yeah, right. So the wood deck is associated with that pond. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be associated with the vinyl shed,
No,
but the deck is a separate.
it is separate. It is not
So
attached
and how
to the
high
shed.
is that deck?
It is,
it's what, 9.5?
They said in the application 12 inches, which makes me think that it's not something correct, Katie, that we would have to worry about if it's only 12 inches.
it is
Well, we wrote it up for relief, so.
it's 1.5, 1 feet 5 inches. to the
Okay,
top
so it's
So it's
of-
over
over
12
it's
feet.
over
Right,
12.
12
Okay,
feet.
so it's
That's-
it didn't look like it was just
It's
12.
not, yeah.
Okay,
It's
so that would
1.5.
require relief,
Right.
separate and apart from the,
I think that's in here.
right,
It's in
okay,
our application.
okay. It was written up, but I just wanted to make sure that
Yes.
it was something that we had to give relief to. Generally in these kinds of cases, we like to say, what would be the cost of moving these sheds to a conforming location? Do you have a sense of that?
I don't know why that would be persuasive in this case. It's
No,
not a matter of, there's no foundation. It's on cinder blocks. It can just be moved. What could the cost be? They're gonna come in with a bill
Well, I
for
would like to know.
$30,000?
Do
If it's
know.
not,
It's gonna be $1,000,
I do not have a cost
Okay.
on what it would be to move the sheds.
but when we do have things that are as-built, we generally ask, as a rule,
Okay,
what would be the cost to correct the as-built? And that's, why I raised it at this meeting.
I
Right,
can
but I think in
ask
this instance, it's not
Frank if
really
he
relevant.
has looked into it.
Okay.
Frank, have you looked
Well,
into
no, he can't
Oh,
testify
no.
unless he comes up and he
Right,
swears.
okay.
Frank, would you like to join us at the table? Oh, there's Frank. I'm looking at a different gentleman out there. I thought that gentleman was Frank. Hi, Frank. Come up here and let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I did.
Please state your name and address.
Frank Micchio, 47 Oaks Avenue, Flanders.
Okay, Frank. So you've heard the discussion.
Right.
There is some sentiment at this table that, we should look into moving the
Right.
sheds to conforming locations.
Why the shed is where, the big shed is where it is because in front of the pond where I have the fence, there's an existing old septic system. In front of that is the new septic system. So I didn't want to put the shed on top of the new septic system either.
Where is the septic system on this?
In front of where the fence is where the pond is. Where's
So,
the pond?
so this is the old,
Right, that's where the pond, that's where the fence is, right?
right?
Okay, so it's right in front of
No,
it.
this is the fence around the shed. So the old system is here.
Right. And
Is
there's
it
a
above
The
system
new
in front of it.
system is here.
Right.
Is the new system, the
It's like the old system.
old,
Just-
old technology, not the new
Right, right, the old
technology, right?
technology, yeah, because it was
We
right
have a
under the
pond
cost
next to a
before the
septic
new
system.
stuff, right. I just bought it before,
Never mind, I get it.
You're close to the water, yeah, which
Yeah.
Yeah,
is,
so
yeah.
that's why I didn't
Yeah.
wanna, it wasn't, so nowhere to go with it.
So, but, the point was made at the table that if this is on blocks, that it shouldn't really be an issue in terms of locating it over a septic field. I don't know. I'm not an expert
Yeah,
on that.
it's a big, it's a heavy shed, but it's not light.
Well, the one shed's small.
Well, that one, yeah, but it's the bigger one that I don't wanna, I don't really wanna move because it's, and there's no real property behind the house. There's not much space between the back of my house, you can look, and the shed. There's only 20 feet
Have you heard from your neighbors?
at best. But yeah, I'm very close, good friends with the one on my side and the one in the back. It's the same person that owns both homes,
Mm-hmm.
and they have no problem. They're good with me. All the neighbors are. I mean, they're my age.
Well, I think it's difficult to say that you can't move the shed because of where septic systems are if they're not on the survey. It's difficult for me to make any.
That also brings it right in the middle of the yard. I mean,
I understand that, but the problem with having sheds right on the property line is, just as Mr. McDonald had said earlier, they present a risk of fire. And there are other harms that we have to think about for the community.
Right.
So I would like my position on this application is I'd like to see the sheds moved, and I'm not so concerned about the wood deck. I'd be happy to provide a variance on the wood deck, but I'd really like to see those sheds moved off the yard, off the backyard line. And I think that if you wanted to, if there's a claim that there's a buried active septic system, I'd need to know where that is.
In other words, we should see it on the survey.
Yeah.
So that we would, it's
So
not that
the
we don't
surveyor,
trust
we
you.
would- No, we would need
But-
the survey to locate the existing septic
Yes,
system.
yes.
Okay.
And show us the abandoned one and the.
Yeah, right, so that we could get a sense for it. And if in fact the position is that you shouldn't put anything on top of the septic system, I would like some sort of an opinion on that. Or some,
Absolutely.
somebody who knows what they're talking about to say, this is not something we should do, other than the guy who built your pool.
Who should be?
You need to get,
Who need to get that
I
from?
know who you can
Oh,
call.
okay.
I got
Someone in
that.
the health department can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, that's another reason to support your application.
My question is, how do they get to it? If you put in the shed on top of it, how do they drain it? Would it have to get pumped
Well,
out?
there's always a,
How do they, I'm asking, I don't know.
But you're talking about the active system. We're also being told that there's an inactive system or an abandoned system.
And
So
we
then
don't
you wouldn't
know,
have that
In
issue.
the inactive system, we don't know if it was just, if somebody pulled the lid off, pumped out all the waste, backfilled it with sand,
Right.
and that's no longer an issue.
right,
Right, because
Right.
it's
And-
dense.
And if it was just not used, and there's still, what would we call this, residuals from prior uses,
Right.
I could understand why you would not want to have that covered necessarily. But it gets to John's point, which is, we're trying to have a conversation about alternatives, and we're being told by you in good faith
Yeah.
that there's conflicts with other things happening, but it's all not shown. And if I could just add, so, I went around the neighborhood too. Everybody has a shed right against the fence,
Right.
just like you guys do.
Right.
And the thing that was interesting to me was, vinyl ones and metal ones that you used to get from Sears, even if
Right.
they're rusting. You can do what John just said, empty the whole thing out, two crazy teenagers go inside, lift it up, spiders all over them, and they walk 10 feet further, right? Not a big deal. So what was interesting was the neighborhood is sort of split. There's those types of sheds that are easily moved, and then there are things that are more structurally,
the second one is
With
the
a
Right,
foundation.
right.
Yeah, second one's heavy, that's fine.
stick,
Got a ramp,
stick built
I mean,
2x4s with the whole thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, the ramp because it's off the ground with
Yeah.
this water coming.
No, yeah.
And we get that too. You guys deal with high
Well,
water.
so consideration maybe move the frame shed, little one. I don't know, but I think we need to get more information.
I would
at
like
this
you, in the
point.
interest of clarity, so this part of the yard could be usable for some of the things we're talking about. You
Right.
could put a shed off the corner here. You could put your deck in front of the pond on this side potentially, if there is room, I don't know. But it's just,
Well, let's start out with locating the abandoned and the existing.
Right.
And
And
get
getting
some expert
testimony
A
information.
testimony, but
On that.
but
On what
we
the-
don't know how abandoned, and we
Right.
can't see the new one.
No, right.
Right, no, I know.
We got you. We got you.
okay. All right, so I think, is there any other questions from the board? Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application of 47 Oaks Avenue? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application? Okay, so this is mine. So
There's a note from the building department to remove all the plus and minuses
Oh,
on the
yes,
survey.
right.
That was the surveyor. We
Right.
couldn't get him to do anything but plus or minuses. Trust me,
Get another
Three
surveyor.
trust me, it was a fight. It was a fight.
Yeah, it was very
Well,
confusing.
you have to talk to the building department about
Okay.
that because that's a request of theirs and. they're
Well,
gonna-
it's, the board's not gonna grant the variance for plus or minus a
Yes,
setback
it's-
of 1.4.
we have to have a
I agree.
definitive number.
Okay.
And also, typically when if the board grants variances for the sheds, you're supposed to provide a letter from an architect or engineer saying that the shed can even withstand some of the winds, so you might wanna try to see if you can even get that for the little one before the board
Yeah, so in other words,
Considers
that it can withstand, what
structurally
we're
sound.
gonna
It's
have
not
out
gonna
here,
blow
which is
over.
gonna be a lot of wind and rain and everything else, that it's structurally sound.
Right.
We usually
It's
need,
been there, whatever.
all right.
Well, the little
It was
one,
there when I bought that, yeah. when
I may
bought
be
it.
concerned about. The big one was pre-built. I've walked at it.
Well,
I'm
but that,
okay with, right.
the person who pre-built it could give you that probably,
Right.
but,
Right.
let's, that's then definitely something that we usually ask for. So let me summarize. You're gonna go back and you're gonna locate on the survey where the abandoned septic system is and where the new septic system is. And we're gonna get an opinion as to whether anything could be placed in that vicinity.
And if I can just add, somebody has to characterize if it is abandoned,
What it is, yeah.
how it was abandoned. Was it abandoned properly under the health department guidance for how they should be abandoned?
Would that have had to have been filed with the health department?
I don't know if I can answer that,
I-
but the issue is this: there's a difference between
No, I do know the
just a
difference
cap
between, yep,
and it
I
was
do.
left, and somebody put an extra one in, and no one ever dealt with the other one, or that it was actually properly abandoned.
Right.
Right. Okay, and then, some state to the, try to get not a plus and minus on the
Yes.
survey.
I'm going to give him a new surveyor.
Yeah.
Or Douglas.
Just-
We're-
just
we're-
done with this
I'm
guy.
done. He didn't even have the address right. And then he was
Okay.
like, well, I'm going to charge you. I'm like, you're not charging him.
Yeah, don't pay.
Charge me three of them,
All right,
three
there you go.
surveys to get this.
What can I tell you?
Well,
All right.
yeah.
And then, and an estimate and a statement as to the
You need to
viability
get
of these.
Cost of moving the sheds.
That it's not
Okay, he
Okay.
does have
one
that.
shed, move one.
Both.
Right, but just,
Both?
Yes,
Yeah, and
please.
you need it in writing.
Yeah.
We need a written estimate, correct?
yes,
Did you say cost estimate?
yes,
Yes.
cost estimate.
For both sheds.
Okay, but it's a lovely neighborhood.
Beautiful.
I know,
The
it's
house,
a,
I bought it 4 years ago.
I
it
know,
was-
it's a lovely neighborhood and it's really great location near the water. I mean, it's really nice. So let's try to get this settled and everything in order so that you can rest easy that you've got everything done. Okay?
I appreciate it.
Okay. So with that in mind, I'm going to,
Public.
I did ask for
Oh, you
public
did?
and Zoom.
Oh, I
yes.
didn't hear.
Yes. But I am going to say, when would you like to come back?
Tomorrow? No.
Yeah.
See
No,
if I
you
can
gotta
get
have,
it
you've
done.
got some
No, I gotta do
homework to
this.
do.
I need
When I get
to
it done,
make some phone calls to see how quickly I can get another surveyor there, how quickly I
Usually
can
we
get.
like to set a date, and if that doesn't
Okay.
work, you let Candace know and
Okay,
we'll.
so
we'll
what,
postpone.
I would say probably not until August.
Well, we have August 15th and we have
Let's try
September
August
5th.
16th. August 15th?
August
Sorry.
15th, okay. So I move that we adjourn this until August 15th.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. All right, chair votes aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number
Bob, you the second? Sorry.
I second
Thank you.
Number 6 on the agenda, 142C Newtown LLC, 142C Newtown Road, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-186-2-28.3. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal rear yard setback of 39.1 feet where a minimum of 60 feet is required for a proposed two-story dwelling and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Are you an attorney?
I am not.
Okay, let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Brian Brady, and I live at 34 Post Crossing
Okay.
in the village.
Okay, so Brian, tell us about this application.
Okay, so my clients purchased 142C and 142A, which were adjoining lots, and they combined them. There was an historic house that had a major fire on the property, and we tried to save it, and we couldn't, so we're replicating it. So it looks like the historic house that was there. In doing so, the elevation of 142A is a little bit higher, so what we're hoping to do is pull the house away from the bay to expand the views and do more landscaping down to the water. So the relief is right up here, and the relief, the 39.1 is actually on a right-of-way that is now owned by our client, so it's going to disappear. So actually that lessens the impact, and it doesn't impact any neighbor, doesn't impact anything at all.
So you're just really asking for a principal setback relief. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. No
That's it.
pyramid, nothing else, just that.
Pyramid works, height works, everything works. Yeah.
Yeah. Helen, this is your application. Would you like to start us off?
Did you speak to the neighbor? The house that's right there, that modern building that's right there in your property?
Do you know his name? I did get a phone call.
Pardon me, I can't, you say that?
Did you speak with the neighbor that she's referring to?
I don't.
Or did you get a letter from them or anything?
From that, I got a phone call from a neighbor over here,
Okay.
and his concern was more the beach access that runs down here.
But that's not,
That's nothing to do
it's
with
nothing
us.
to do with us.
Right.
So that's, so the one neighbor he spoke to, Helen, I don't know if you heard, was concerned about beach access.
There was no neighbor that was, asked you anything about having the house moved further back. Is that what you
No.
told me?
No,
That was my only concern, the effect of this house, where it's situated, in terms of the possible concerns of the neighbor. But other than that, if that neighbor hasn't said anything, then I have no problem with your application.
Okay.
I've visited it several times.
Okay. It looks like it's not a major, as you said, it's off of a right-of-way. It's not
Right.
even a regular road, it's a right-of-way. Doesn't appear to me to be an issue, but is there anybody else on the board who wishes to be heard on this application?
Did you need a wetlands permit for this?
No.
So you have a letter of non-jurisdiction, or it's not, no wetlands at all?
not even at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application of 142C Newtown Lane Road? Anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application? Okay, Helen, it's your, is there a hand up?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good. All right. Well, somebody is on Zoom, Helen. We're waiting to hear from them.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, can't see you yet. There you are. Oh, there you are. Okay, are you an attorney?
No.
Then let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Could you please state your name and address?
Diana Adams. Local address is 142B Newtown Road, Hampton Bays, New York.
Okay, Diane, do you want to tell us your comments?
Yeah, I am the neighbor that you were just asking about. And I have no.
Okay, and you have no objections? Okay, Diane, thank you so much for coming on Zoom to say that. I appreciate it.
That was nice.
All right, she needs a bottle of
I
wine. Okay, okay. Helen, this is yours.
Okay, we're going to close the hearing. We'll leave it open for submission. So, A, with a decision on July 18th.
Second.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Number 7 on the agenda, Stefano Maris and Natalia Bergamaschi, 177 Bridie's Path, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-64-2-20. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a detached garage constructed under building permit P088933, but cited incorrectly on a non-conforming lot. Section 330-6, general regulations that references section 330-11, residence districts table of dimensional regulations for an accessory side yard setback from 10 feet to 8.5 feet, and 2, section 330-84D, pyramid law for a sky plane encroachment to the north lot line of 98.12 cubic feet and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Can you pass that to Bob?
You're not an attorney.
And then take one of
Do you want
these.
it? Let me swear you in.
This is
Bob?
pass it down.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name.
Lisa Poyer, Twin Forks Permits, on behalf of the applicant. So this is a garage, a detached garage that did receive a building permit from the building department. It was constructed, and when we did the final survey, it was determined that the contractor put it in the wrong spot, so to speak. The contractor is no longer involved with the project. I don't know if it was because of this or what happened, but he's not here to drag in front of you and state the reason why. It's 1.5 feet off the property line at 8.5 feet where 10 feet is required. And then there is a little bit of pyramid relief requested. It's less than 100 cubic feet. It's 98.12 cubic feet. Like I said, it's an existing garage. In the information I just handed out tonight, I'm sorry that Helen doesn't get to share with this information. It's just a photograph of the detached garage, a view from the street of the garage, and then a view from the garage itself looking towards the property to the north, which is the property and the residence closest affected by this setback. I've also included the survey for that property, which shows that the house for that lot is 50 feet approximately from their property line, their common property line, which would make this detached garage 58.5 feet from the house. And then it also shows that we're in APOD, and as because of that, we have significant vegetation that's existing between the garage and the other neighbor that's affected the most. I believe that this is, a common accessory structure for residents in this neighborhood. It will be continued to be used as a residential use. It's a kind of a 1.5 car garage. It's only 20 feet in width. The garage door is 12 feet wide. I pretty much state that because if we were to try to chop off 1.5 feet, it would make it a lot smaller. It would make it a true small little 1-car garage. Also included in the package on the last page is a cost estimate from a contractor that shows that it'd be about, I think it was $213,000 to cut the garage, demo it, move it over. So we're here asking for relief for 1.5 feet, which is a 15% variance request, and then just a small little skinny bit of pyramid relief.
This is yours.
I'm okay.
I have not spoken with that neighbor. They have not reached out to contact us. So just
But
wanted to say that.
they got notification.
They did get
obviously.
notification, yes.
How long's it been up?
It was put up about 9 months to a year ago. The building permit's about ready to expire, which it's 2 years.
And what's the vegetation on that side? It's a little hard for me to see.
They put a little row of evergreens that you can see in the photograph.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna let it come back naturally. I think there's a little bit of wood pile still left there, but basically between the garage and the adjacent house is native vegetation of chestnut oaks, some pine intermixed, some low bush blueberries, that kind of vegetation that's common up in that area.
Any questions from the board?
No,
It's a pretty.
no reason to belabor it.
No.
That's gonna be
Be
my
trying
new
to be quick.
sentence, my new phrase.
No, it seems like minimal relief. It was a contractor's mistake and he has disappeared, so he's not here to take his public flagging.
So we're taking
Bobby.
it. I'm
So
taking
you're,
it.
yeah,
Get
right.
Keith back.
Okay, so, this is yours, Bob. Let's,
Okay, so we'll move to.
Did we, public and
oh,
Zoom?
sorry, I'm sorry. You're right, I'm sorry. We were so fast, I was too fast. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on the application of 177 Bridie's Path? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application? Okay, now you can do.
Okay, I move to close the meeting, hold it open for written submissions till July 8th with a decision on July 18th.
Second.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Mr. Leonard,
Aye.
Ms. Kane,
Aye.
Mr. McDonald,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
Mm.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Thank you.
Number 8 on the agenda, JP Squared LLC, 6 Wilson Avenue, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-293-2-8. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, for swimming pool, Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory side yard setback from 20 feet to 11.5 feet plus or minus to the swimming pool, and Section 330-76D, Placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in all districts, and Section 330-83C, Yards, to allow the swimming pool to be located within the required minimum side yard and total required side yard for the principal building, and 2, for the deck around the swimming pool, Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, for an accessory rear yard setback from 20 feet to 6.3 feet, and an accessory side yard setback from 20 feet to 6.2 feet, and Section 330-76D and 330-83C to allow the deck to be located within the required minimum side yard and total required side yard for the principal building and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction. This is for you, Kevin.
Are you an attorney?
I am not.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address.
James Schneider, 26 Arbor Lane, Hampton Bays, New York, 11946.
Okay, James, do you want to tell us about this application?
We had received a building permit, built it, and then found out that they wanted variance because they didn't know if it was side yard or backyard, and after it was constructed, they said it's side yard. So that's why we're here.
So you assumed it was a rear yard, and,
Well, I submitted the paperwork and received the building permit based off that.
okay, okay, and your reliance on the
On building
building permit.
Correct.
Okay,
And that's actually even noted in the building department comments.
yes.
You know, just like some of the other ones we heard tonight, you know, building permits were issued, everything was constructed in the appropriate spots, right? It wasn't like the last one where there was a surveyor error.
Well, that wasn't that was a contractor error,
Yeah,
the last one.
Okay.
But this one is,
So whoever the
You
CO
were-
then was discovered?
Yes.
So there's no disagreement on the facts, right?
No, not,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
well, I went to the property. It's very heavily vegetated. I mean, it really is quite nicely screened, in my opinion. The property drops off quite dramatically in the back. Other than the fact that, you know, you did rely on this building permit, it's not, in my opinion, an egregious situation at all.
Thank you.
That's my opinion.
I concur.
I would have generally the same conclusion. I would love to hear if there's any comments from the public.
Yes, of course.
And
we're gonna
then,
do that.
if there are any other questions from the board at all? No?
Hampton Nursery did the work, by the way.
Okay,
Hampton Bays Nursery, Hampton Nursery,
okay,
vegetation.
okay.
I'll let them know.
All right, so no more questions from the board?
No.
Okay, then we'll hear from the audience.
How you doing, board?
Hi, can I swear you in?
Alex Nikonovitz, 5 Lincoln Avenue, Hampton Bays, New York.
You swear to tell the
11946.
truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Alex Nikonovitz.
Oh, okay. Come on, I know how to spell that.
Okay, Alex,
Okay, I just kind of wrote something out. I'm going to try and go through it quick so I cover
Okay.
everything.
try
Don't
to
waste
make
anybody's
it-
time.
About 3 minutes.
That's why I'm trying to keep it quick. Okay, we were originally before the variance, before you guys for a variance associated with my family trying to reconstruct our family home destroyed by the storms. The difference is we came to you before we started our project, not as an afterthought once completed. Our concerns and oppositions are, number one, this is not just a pool and deck on a flat grade. It's a towering structure amplified by the uphill rise in grade. We have the property below them. John may be aware of it, you may be aware of it because you visited the site.
Yep.
The deck sits a minimum of 5 to 6 feet above the ground at 6 feet from the property line and higher when you include the increasing elevation. We can't even put up a 6-foot fence on that property line and shield their pool from our property. Number two, what if this pool was to fail? It would basically unleash a tidal wave downhill directly onto our home. We'd like to know if the plans and design for this project were done or approved by any engineers. Were there any tests done to be sure of the ground carrying capacities? There's a lot of structural as well as water weight literally being held above our heads. Again, it's a raised pool. This is not a level area where there's just a pool on grade. Number three, runoff. This is a significant amount of coverage that no longer allows runoff from this property to be absorbed before running onto our property. I see the potential to cause scouring or even erosion, depositing materials from their property onto ours or causing our property to be washed out into the bay. The deck square footage alone appears to be greater than the house. The facts. This project was designed and built as a flip house with maximum profit as a driving force. The house was placed on the market as soon as it's substantially completed and in fact listed now as pending on Zillow. They have showed blatant disregard for the town codes. I find it hard to believe that an experienced licensed general contractor had no idea this project would require variances. It is our belief that, and their actions support the fact that it was known that this project would be difficult to get the board to pass and decided it would be easy to just ask for forgiveness once they did as they please. Number two, the pool and deck could have been put in the rear yard to the south on a more level ground with less impact on adjacent properties. Number three, the building department made some significant mistakes by missing some important zoning requirements that will significantly impact my family's quality of life and value of our property. Regardless, it is the responsibility of the applicant and owner to be sure they have met all necessary requirements. I don't know is not an excuse. Number four, there were multiple points during construction that work could have been put on hold and this board been able to review the project. I question the requirement for a variance when the hole was first dug 10 feet from the property line in March of 2024. Number five, there was no question of a variance requirement in July of 2023 prior to the deck or any substantial structures, and still no application of stop work order was issued. Number six, by allowing this project to be completed, it forces the board to have a polarized view. It is unfair and unfortunate that this project now has the advantage of being reviewed at this stage. The board must take into account extenuating circumstances and potential consequences that normally wouldn't be a factor in a decision to possibly deny or modify the planning. Number seven, these are significant variances that could set an unfortunate precedent for building raised decks and pools so close to property lines with such high elevation. Also, it is a great example of it easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, so rules and codes be damned. In conclusion, I doubt that this structure is is within the spirit and nature of the Southampton Town single-family residential development objectives. It goes against the community standard and is definitely not within the guidelines of the town's master plan and or zoning intentions. I hope the board can see we are not angry neighbors, but a genuinely concerned and already affected family. Remember, this is not a proposed project. The structure is there, and we can see how it will impact us. We request the board uses this as an opportunity to set an example that this is not the way to go about things by denying the application. I'd also just like to make two requests. One, for all or as many board members as can to visit the site in person to see the full scale of the structure. And number two, I'd like to ask, would the board recognize that if at any point the pool or deck needs to be repaired, modified, or replaced for any reason, there should be another opportunity to review decisions that are made? And just another quick question, is there any pyramid relief that the project such as this should require? Because again, it's not on grade, it's towering above the ground, 6 feet from the property line.
It's not written up that way. It was not given to us as requiring.
No, and there's no, I mean, you should know because you just received variances on your property.
Right.
There's no coming back if something happens. I mean, this application was issued building permits. It wasn't, you know, this board, we heard some as-built tonight and the board,
I understand that.
But this isn't
But-
an as-built, this was issued building permits. So it's not just
But
be
the requirement for a variance was made well aware to them prior to the construction, and it just
Well,
kept
just-
going on and
but
going and going on
The
and going
building
on.
permit was issued. I mean, what do you mean that it was brought to their attention?
But if
Katie?
a building permit was issued without the correct variances, how can that be a legitimate variance? And once you're made aware that you need to
Then
get
the
a
building,
variance.
Then the building department would issue a stop work order and say, come get variances, which is what they did.
Right, it appears that the building department did not indicate that variances were needed and issued a permit, which
Right.
allowed this landowner to do the work.
But
So now-
during the construction, I made it aware that is there not a variance required here? The building department did in fact inform me that yes, they made a mistake
I'd
and that
like
there
to-
is a variance required.
One moment,
But
one
after
moment,
they
one
had
moment.
issued the permit.
I don't know why they didn't issue a
Sir,
stop
one
work
moment,
order.
one
I'm
moment.
sorry.
Katie, do we understand the nature of the error here?
Well,
I mean, we're told the building permit was entered in error, but what does that mean? Do we know?
It means exactly all of the variances that they're here for. I mean, if you look at the comments, it says the pool and deck were constructed under building permit P090108 issued by the building department in error.
Right.
The error is that the building department didn't identify
The
placement
setbacks
of
that were required.
Yeah, because I mean, it is, it is in the rear yard. I mean, you said it should be in the rear yard. It is in the rear yard.
It's
just
a
doesn't-
side yard.
It's also a rear yard. They're asking for variances for the rear yard, accessory rear yard setback. So listen, it's not where it's supposed to be, which is why they're here. But it's
But
know-
my question is that once you're made aware that you require a variance for the project, shouldn't the project then be put on hold until you receive those variances? Because it should be able to be up for review prior to being a completed project, and now unfortunately being looked at as, hey, it's a $60,000 pool in the ground rather than $10,000.
Right,
I mean,
but
this
that's
is-
not really what we're here to discuss. That's not within our purview as to what this applicant did at any point in time when he learned that variances were needed. We're not here. That would be a building department issue, possibly a code compliance issue. We're not either of those
Gotcha.
agencies. So really what we're dealing with right now is the relief that's being requested, which is the 6 feet on the rear yard, 6 feet on the side yard, that kind of thing. It doesn't require pyramid relief. But other than that, and also, I mean, to address some of the concerns that you brought up about what would happen if it were to fail and not keeping water on the land, those are all things that are homeowners are expected to do. Each property owner is expected to retain water on their own property. That's not something that's before us. And we also aren't in the business of taking into consideration hypothetical situations that may occur in the future. We can't really, address that with regard to whether or not, the possibility that the pool might fail. That's not really what we're here for today. We're just talking about setbacks.
Well, they obviously run the risk that if the pool fails and it
Yeah.
goes on your property, that's their liability.
And there's insurance.
Total liability,
Yeah.
really. I mean,
So-
that's, yeah.
Couple things.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Just to be clear, you're the house at the bottom of the
Yes, sir.
small, modest.
That's correct.
Okay, just want to be sure I'm orienting correctly. So I heard everything you said.
I appreciate that.
And you just heard the explanations for it. The only outcomes here are not going to be great for you.
Okay.
And so one thing I would appreciate knowing, can you imagine a scenario based on what you see where some effort at screening or some other mitigation along the visual impact that you're experiencing can be softened?
I mean, could they be required to put giant green arborvitaes along that property line?
Yes.
Okay.
We could make that a condition of the variance.
Which
they
is
would've-
why,
if
which
they
is
would've
why
put-
I asked, right? So
I can
I'd
appreciate that.
appreciate I would appreciate from you knowing where that would be most important. And would the applicant seriously entertain such a?
That's what it is right now.
What is it? Let's see.
That's
I
that's
looked,
what
it
he's
is
looking at.
vegetated, but what is
Yeah, but
this?
also
Those aren't giant green
around-
But
arborvitaes.
these are tiny little, they're tiny
They're
little
like a foot and a
whatevers.
half tall.
Well, they're watering. Again, Hampton
Yeah, I
Nursery works this
understand,
out with
but-
Marty Shea. And
Yeah,
But
we would
this
need
is
something
also-
like
this
mature
isn't an evergreen.
plants.
I would appreciate giant green arborvitaes
Wait.
Well,
on the
we're gonna
property
lose the
line
water
to
here.
at least the edge of their concrete planter that comes off the deck there. This way, I'm screened from the structure.
Yeah, but we would lose the water view. That's what he's looking for.
If you
It
want a
doesn't
water
have to
view,
grow
Jim, you should have bought a house on the water.
All right,
I'd like to
No
address-
crosstalk, please.
I'm sorry. It's just that this has been frustrating because ongoing, I've gotten no help from anyone to come down and look at this project during the entire construction of it. And I've been ignored, and this is unfortunately
We'll watch you, don't
my
worry.
first time to be heard.
Understood.
well, wait a
Understood.
second. So you're saying that you were ignored by the building department?
I feel I was, yes.
Okay.
I visited the building department when the hole was dug. I visited the building department when forms were put up. I visited the building department when the concrete was poured. I visited the building department when the deck was being constructed.
Well, let's not go, I think we're
just
getting
wanted
far
to-
afield of the application.
I understand, but
I
I-
kind of really,
That's
yeah,
something-
we understand your frustration.
I
Susan, if I
understand
could,
it.
please?
Let me just make my point, because I was
Wait,
doing it first.
I was speaking, thank you. We understand your frustration and we feel for what you're, and we'd like to address any concerns that you have right now. So I think, Kevin's
we
ideas
can-
about
And
that.
I
we can
appreciate
correct.
Kevin's
That we can
idea
correct.
Of screening, and I would appreciate that be a stipulation.
Can I address one thing?
Sure, sir.
The pool, first of all, is designed and engineered. There's a stamped engineered set of plans. That's how we got the building permit. It's number 5 rebar, every 12 inches vertical and horizontal. That pool is overbuilt. It's not going to ever fail. It can't. It's 10 inches wide concrete, 5,000 pounds. So that issue is non-existent, and it's approved. It's approved by the building department for the way it was engineered and stamped. So there's no failure possible. It's, if anything, this thing is completely overbuilt. It went the other way. There's no corners cut on this house. That's why we got such a high asking price to help him with his appraisal values. We sold the house.
Let's not get into
But-
it.
let's not get
Guys,
personal.
I think
Yeah,
thank
I
you
mean,
for your
please.
comments. I think
And
thank you for your comments. 'Cause
One other-
Can I address how can I find out if there's screening,
we have
planting, and things
the
like
hearing's
that?
not over yet, so thank you for your comments. Have a seat.
The one other issue I'd like to bring up is there was tension between that family and this project, to the point where my client actually issued an order of protection gun against his dad.
We don't, sir, I'd
We've
like to
been
just,
there
we
and
don't
we're
need
not
to
gonna
go
go
over
there
that.
again.
It was
We're not
based-
going to go there
Would your
again.
client be willing to put in some screening like Mr. McDonald has suggested?
We're willing to do whatever the board asks us to.
Okay.
I mean, I'm totally.
Okay,
I work.
that's good.
I work in this community.
So we'll work together
work
to
together.
get
That's-
you
it's not a
guys,
problem.
you get some screening, and we'll make sure that it doesn't, it's not of the nature that it destroys views.
Well, but I
And
think
there's a
it needs to be
compromise.
evergreen, and then there needs, it
And
needs to
perhaps-
be maintained.
And perhaps a tad taller than that.
We have
Yeah.
With all
sprinklers.
due respect.
I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
have any control
higher
of
than
that.
2
And those
feet.
lose their leaves.
We
so.
have sprinklers through there, so they will
Yeah,
be.
yeah. Okay.
They're fed. The whole property is sprinkled.
Okay, so, recognizing that this was kind of a reliance on your part for the permits and you built, and we appreciate the fact that, it wasn't properly assessed in terms of setbacks and whatever, but, we have what we have now.
Okay.
And we're gonna try to come up with some amelioration of that with the screening, proposal. We'll put something in, Katie?
Mhm.
Well, are we going,
Some-
we
with
should
the ma-
identify what we're going
Thank
to
you.
require.
Yes, I was just going to get there. So it would have to be, an evergreen. If you want to say arborvitae, that's fine with me. Is that fine with you? Arborvitae is a decent,
Mature
I think-
plants.
Can I just request that if you
You need to go to the podium,
Wait,
sir.
I'm sorry, Alice, please. I did a referral to the conservation board already,
Okay.
but I don't know where the wetlands are, because I don't work for the conservation board, I don't know where the boundaries are. So he may be limited to what type, so you might want to check with Martin
Okay.
Shea just to make
Yes.
sure.
So I think Marty helping identify a suitable native plant of a certain stature and height that doesn't grow to the moon, but is tall enough to mitigate some of the visual impact that neighbors are experiencing.
No, which is fine, I was saying because there was talk about what type.
Yeah,
And
I think
wanna
that's
say
right.
he's
Yeah.
This and then he can't.
Okay.
Okay.
But it needs to be maintained. I mean,
Yes.
it's the kind of thing where we say in perpetuity. I mean, next owners, whatever, have to maintain it. So.
Can I just request that it at least be as high as the railing on the deck?
Hold on. Marty Shea did pick out that. That's right. He did all the drawing. He told us what to plant there. That's why I used Hampton Nursery, because I had a relationship with Marty Shea. So everything was done. And you're right. It is wetlands in that back corner.
I don't know where they are, I just know it came
Yeah.
on the list, so I'm just.
So what was it that you planted? What
I
actually
don't
are
know.
that? You don't know?
I'm a builder.
But they're not mature.
Why don't we leave the hearing open.
Yeah,
We get
leave the
to-
hearing open.
Ask if we could, have a quick consult between planning staff and Marty about what's an appropriate screen consistent with the permit that was issued, so we're not looking to create a conflict that can't be resolved.
Right.
Give the neighbor the opportunity to identify where the impact area is. I mean, to the extent that you can be as specific as you've just been, high enough to block the railing, that kind of information is important because that sets a reasonable parameters. So that would be wonderful if you can give us that level of detail within the comment period, probably past July 8th, right? Because I don't know how else
So
could
we're
be done.
going to adjourn. You want to adjourn this?
I think we should hold it open.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah, it's not just written comments. We want to adjourn,
we
somebody
want to
come
adjourn,
back.
leave it open,
we hear
resolve
what
some of
the-
these issues.
Okay.
And when do we want to come back for roughly? September?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Helen.
Helen. Go ahead, Helen.
This gentleman, the neighbor, are you John?
No, ma'am.
What?
No, ma'am. I'm Alex.
Well, I have before me a letter from the law that Damon Higgins that we all received in our submittal.
Yes, ma'am. That's from my father's attorney.
And your father's attorney, that's John.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any, is John, is Mr. Hagan gonna appear at our next hearing?
He may appear at the next hearing. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Read his letter, and I think it's important as an attorney to come before us and be able to answer, maybe some questions that we might have for an attorney.
Understood?
That's okay with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then also, I'd like to check, and I wanna tell you, I did go into the property, and I myself have some concern. So also, it says in comments from Arthur, that the survey shall be revised to indicate the setback from the swimming pool to the western side property line. And I couldn't find that. Is it there, applicant? Is it applicant? Can you tell me whether or not you have provided us with that survey?
I'm looking right now, hold on one second.
I did not see setbacks on the survey.
No, that's septic, there was 2 surveys.
I would like that,
Here it is.
We received that survey. Show me setback to the.
Okay.
Address the building permit.
Yeah, we have that survey, Helen. We have that survey. Yep.
You're doing a good job.
it's something that,
The board has it.
Ed can look at for our next year.
Okay, so I just need a clarification of who's doing what before we come back.
Sure.
Because it's a little confusing to me about who's going to identify, you're supposed to identify the specific area that you would like
Yes,
the
ma'am.
vegetation, and who's going to identify the vegetation.
I thought we were gonna try to get Marty.
Marty has already though, that's the issue, it's on the permit, it's on the conservation permit.
Yeah, but he didn't write it as it relates to the screening concerns that
right.
another neighbor has presented to us that we're trying to mitigate.
Susan.
Yes.
So I don't think,
There's
these are not
another gentleman who'd
incompatible
like to speak.
outcomes.
I agree with that, Kevin.
I think the applicant would have to check with Marty. and
Check
say,
with Marty.
I went to
Yeah.
the zoning board, it's about putting up screening.
What do I do?
What type of plans are appropriate? It may be at his jurisdiction, I don't know, but
What's
as
allowed.
the applicant, I think the applicant should be the one to go to Marty.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a 3-way conversation. It's,
Right.
you know,
Applicant
the
and
zoning
Marty.
board of appeals would like appropriate screening to mitigate the impact of this. Variances are requested. What's appropriate screening at what height? I mean,
Okay.
we know, there's no way there's gonna be a meeting of the minds here.
No, and so, I don't, shouldn't be this complicated. You're gonna tell us where the areas of most concern, and you're gonna give us that in writing, and that'll be helpful. One of us is gonna talk to Marty
Not
about,
you.
not me, but is gonna talk to Marty about what
The
the screening,
Applicant.
right?
The applicant.
What the screening should be that would address
That's
some
the
of those
applicant
concerns.
that's
Okay, that's
Marty.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm the new guy.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna come back with a coherent proposal that provides the screening that we're hoping we can appropriately mitigate. That creates no additional conflicts with any of the permits issued.
Correct. That sounds good. Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to be heard? Please come up. All right, it's two people. Okay. Are you an attorney?
No.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
Gregory Turlock, 14 Green Meadow Road, Pleasantville, New York. So, hello, neighbor. How you doing? Maybe I'm your neighbors. So I am currently in contract to purchase the house. You know, I've talked to you, Katie. Very nice to meet you for the first time in person. And you know, I guess after hearing this, you know, everything sounded great. Really, until actually my new neighbor, you know, sort of talked about, you know, the screening. I guess the screening is right now where there is a tree line. Everybody knows, right? There is a tree line on your property. That's where you want the screening. Yes, sir. Right. So there already is. Those trees are. There's no view of the water currently, where the tree line is on their property. Where is I guess where you want the screening to be. So to me, that I'm not sure how that makes sense, but I guess you're saying maybe these trees all come down, and if he takes them all down, then he wants.
You want what's on your property.
Great. That would be great.
Yeah, because you can't control what he does with his property.
Okay,
You've got
right.
to put it on
So,
your property. Right.
Just
It's under
so
your
if you
control.
went there, those who went there, you're gonna see like the screening
did.
is exactly along the exact
I
tree
did.
line, right?
Those trees also drop their leaves.
Yeah.
In the wintertime and, you know, in the fall, and then,
I think some of them are evergreens, but
I think
you know,
some of
they're
them
not,
One drops.
they're not all. Yeah, there's just one.
the whole way.
But the
I
idea
understand.
is,
I
it's your responsibility to
I
maintain
sort of
them.
understand the point, right?
Okay.
And I guess so. Unfortunately, the next hearing is not 2 weeks from, not the first Thursday in July, right?
No,
So
because
this-
that's a holiday.
Right. So just so I procedurally, this won't get resolved until at the very minimum.
Well, if we hold it open,
Right.
then we have a period of written comments for 2 weeks, and then we make a decision 2 weeks after that. So it would be essentially 2 months. We're looking at 2 months.
We're trying to close on the property.
I'm just telling you, that's what the reality is.
Well, that is obviously a concern. That it'll take that long to get this resolved over. Whether we have to put up arborvitaes that are 6 feet tall.
Well, you don't have to actually install them. You have to commit to doing it. You know. So
Well, can any of this be done prior to the next hearing?
if you and the neighbor can agree in writing and come forward with a written submission, I guess
Well,
we could.
Yes, but again,
Yeah.
this is a little bit unusual, right? Like this board does typically not say, everybody go out and agree on screening, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. I mean, if you guys the neighbor wants screening, the board is agreeing to screening, the applicants are saying that they'll screen it. You can just say, put together a screening plan. Go talk to Marty Shea, find out what trees are appropriate, block the view, and you can take it by written subs. If you want to take
That's what I
more
was
assist-
trying to suggest.
Yes,
yeah.
I mean that's typically how you do it. I guess what I'm saying to you is there's not going to be a meeting of the minds here, and you're gonna put the applicant in an impossible situation.
So our option is to hold it open versus written subs, which would be till July 8th, and then a decision on July 18th.
I mean, if the only issue is the screening, yes. If the board wants testimony on something else, then you keep it open. But if the only issue is what's appropriate screening, and we know that it's under Marty's jurisdiction, it's better to just defer to Marty.
I just think it's
Unless we're going to wait until Mr. Hagan,
We had a letter from Mr. Hagan. I mean,
if we want to see him in person.
that's,
I
he
don't-
should have come.
Yeah, he should have come. Yeah.
I concur with that, yeah.
What's the feeling on the board?
I have to say, so I'm hearing there's someone trying to purchase the house, the applicant is motivated. It sounds like you're willing to move very quickly to go talk to Marty Shea and keep this thing moving. I don't know why we couldn't do that in line with Katie's
You could wrap this up next week.
comment.
probably.
With written comments.
With
With
written
written submissions.
Yeah.
Assuming he's not on vacation, yes.
Well, and assuming that they can get some concurrence from the neighbor. I mean, you know,
So-
the neighbor then
really
comes
Mark.
back and says he's not talked to me, I don't know anything about it, then that's a different story.
So
But-
why don't we do an accelerated calendar for comments and a decision? And
No,
if we
they're
have
not
to postpone.
accelerated.
No, I know that,
The
but if we
eighth.
have to postpone for one reason or
Yeah,
another, then we will. How's that?
So we should just do for our normal
Just
written
normal.
comment section and then with the
Put July
decision.
7th and then a decision
July
on
8th, and
July
then-
18th.
Right, right,
Pending the other things coming in.
right. And if it doesn't work and we don't have the,
We'll put it off.
we'll put it off until we get it.
That's
We
the
do,
most.
we do have people, other people. on
Yes,
the
Oh,
all
phone.
I'm
right.
sorry.
Yes,
Whoa.
I'm sorry, and we still have to do Zoom, so would you like to come up and comment?
I'm starting to get a headache.
Are you an attorney? Would you like to swear? I just swear you would. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please state your name and address.
First name is Linda, last name is Ewell, my address is 84 Montauk Highway in Southampton. Excuse me. I have written,
Sorry, this is EUEL now?
I have written the board a letter, which
Right,
I
we have
believe
it.
you all have. I'm another name. I'm a little poor mouse in a little cottage down from your pool. I'm just very confused by this whole process. And one of the confusing things is when this was advertised, I know it's postponed, so the first couple of ones, everything said proposed. Proposed pool, proposed deck. This one, nothing's proposed. It's there, it's done, and it was done even when it was proposed. So I'm very confused how the wording changed. Because my understanding is, you know, when you ask for relief, it's a relaxation of the standards that, the building standards. So this to me is not relief. This already happened, and it's not just, quote, we're talking not 20 feet down to 6.2 feet. I am sitting right there. If you went, I don't know, Susan, if you went to the house.
I do.
So where the fence is, then it's that screwy configuration. So Alex is
Down.
but his driveway is really part of my backyard. And then I'm right there because at the time, the history of this property, which you probably don't know, it was all summer cottages. Goes back to the 30s, and the house that was torn down was part of it. There were 3 cottages where I am, big house in the back where Alex's dad is. It was all one big family property.
And we've been through
And
this when they came
Right.
before us, yes.
But that's another point, because when Mr. Schneider and Ms. Mullen were here to disagree with Alex's proposal, they actually said, we don't need any variances. We didn't need any variances, but they do need variances.
That was because of a building department error.
Well, that's another thing I don't understand.
Well, because the building department, people in the building department are human, and people make mistakes. Give me 1 second. People make mistakes, and so the building permit was issued, and then somewhere along the line, we don't know how, or when, or why, it was reevaluated and determined that there were variances needed, and so that's why the applicant is here in front of us today. And so we have to be a little sensitive to that on their side as well. I understand how you're feeling about, you know, plans are confusing and they'll write proposed. Some of the surveys and some of the plans were probably at the application process with the building department. So you're seeing that things are written down as proposed, but then they get built. And so unfortunately, after it was built, people in the building department realized there was a mistake.
But anyone visiting the property would have seen it was totally built.
Yeah, I believe the reason, because I checked the prior agendas, and you're right, it says proposed. I believe the reason it says proposed is because typically when somebody's built something without a permit, and Candace, correct me if I'm wrong, but typically if somebody builds something without a permit, we write it up to legalize the location of something.
Right.
And because we wrote this up as proposed because it had a building permit, is my guess.
That's possible, but it just could have been a typographical error and it should be said proposed. I mean, that's what they used to say, proposed.
Right.
Yeah, but again, the distinction is the building permit was issued.
So
Right, so now we're in a-
re-advertise
So now
this.
we are where we are.
We are where we are,
So
exactly. So what,
I am in
can I ask
full
you a
support
question?
of the trees.
Let her finish,
What
John.
would help you what would alleviate some of your concerns?
Well, I am concerned by the height of that pool, like Alex is too. If there was any water runoff, that would be, I can't even imagine.
Okay.
There's not
Because
gonna
we're
be any
sitting
water runoff.
right
The- You have a conservation, a wetlands permit too. I mean, so that not only is the
Right.
building department watching this, which I know is
Right.
of no solace to you
But
right now.
I am,
But the conservation board has also issued a wetlands permit.
yes.
So that has an additional layer of scrutiny, which should make you feel better. I mean,
Yes.
anybody who's ever gotten a wetlands permit knows it's rigorous.
And anybody that knows Marty knows it's.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
But I agree with Alex, I think the screening would really help. I mean, I realize it's my backyard and I'm on the bay, so I don't really,
not
my
looking at the
backyard doesn't worry me that much, but it would be nice to have it, so it's not
Do you
looming.
have any, I know there's a lot of vegetation there. What is separating your property from this property?
Nothing.
There's no
I mean,
vegetation?
mine goes to, what will be Alex's driveway. Right now, it's just a dirt, where cars travel, you know, it's just tire tracks. And then there's a little fence, right? There's a split rail fence, and there's some, well, they were nice trees till the deer decimated everything. So that's all that's there. So everything else is just looming, kind of.
Okay.
So you should.
But I would like the trees, you know.
On your lot line.
Well, it
On their
won't
lot
be
line.
actually my lot line, it'll be Alex's lot.
Alex's,
Or
okay.
Mr. Schneider's lot line.
Right.
Because there's a road separating her
Yeah, no,
property.
I know that.
Well,
I
it
know.
will be.
I've been to
Yes,
the property.
yeah, okay, so it's a little bit more awkward than it is with a direct property line.
Right, exactly.
But, you know, I think that you've heard the comments today. I think you want to be as good a neighbor as you possibly can, and you will take a look at these. And when you come, if we decide to go with the written submissions, I would hope that you would take all of that into consideration.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anybody else in the audience? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application? Okay. Kevin, it's yours.
Okay, correct me if I don't have it right. We're going to take written comments until July 8th.
Right.
With a decision for July 18th.
Second.
Comments due from everybody to be incorporated into the final
That's all.
determination.
Right,
Go ahead.
right.
Beautiful.
Second.
Okay.
Let's go.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? I'm sorry, what? Chair votes aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, number 14 on the agenda, J.G. Farrell III Real Estate LLC, 8 Middle Pond Lane, Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-272-2-10.
3 minutes, Carl.
He's got 4. Come on, give him
You guys
4.
remember this one?
I do.
Yeah, you do.
But please state your name and address. for the
Carl
record.
Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant. When we were last here, a third of the board was different. I don't know if you want me to go through the basic tenets of the application, but we are seeking relief for the following items. This is a revised survey which accommodates some of the concerns raised by the board the last time we were here, and I'll go through them shortly. This is a 12,763 square foot parcel located in the
Hold on
R15
one second,
zoning
Carl.
district.
Just let me distribute these. So
Sure.
everybody can look at it while you're talking. I didn't keep one for myself.
Oh, here.
Thank you.
Pass down.
So if you look at the survey I handed out, or the one you had prior, you'll see this lot is rather burdened. It's undersized. It's 12,700 square feet in a R15 or minimum 15,000 square foot zone. It has 2 front yards. As you can see, it's split down the middle of Middle Pond Lane and what's the other one? Little Neck Road. That's right. So it's rather constrained. The house on the structure requires no relief. The house on the lot, I should say, requires no relief. We're asking for relief for a couple of accessory structures. First, we need some 105 cubic feet of pyramid relief for those two rooftop pergolas, which generally speaking is a minimum amount of relief. There's actually been on 62 Little Neck. These are others in the area, and I'm trying to go as quick as I can. There was 1,450 cubic feet of relief for pyramid. 141 got relief from this board in 2012 for 1,855 cubic feet. And 43 Little Neck Road in 2013, 2,133 cubic feet of relief for pyramid. We're only asking for 105 cubic feet of relief. The reason there's so much relief granted for pyramid is because this area is in flood zones. And as a result, people have to build higher than, above grade. Here it's AE 10, so it's 10 feet plus 2 for freeboard, so 12 feet above grade. Naturally, that comes into bring height and pyramid implications. So the pyramid relief for the pergolas, again, minimum of 105 cubic feet. Height relief for the pergolas is 3.8 feet. Now, I note that even though the quote accommodates flood zones, there is a limit to 42 feet. If there weren't that limit, as you know, the permitted height is 32 feet in the town. Another 12 feet would be 34 feet. We're at 44 feet. We're at 45.8. So really 1.8 feet above, which would be permitted if there weren't that total height limitation that even FEMA won't get you out of. So again, our position is both actually and practically, it's minimal height relief for these. Allow off-street parking with the required front along Middle Pond Lane and Little Neck. That has been modified. John or Mr. Leonard wanted some relief there, and that's demonstrated in the revised survey we have for you.
Yeah. You cut it down by half.
As you wanted.
Yes, thanks.
You got it. And all that remains is the sports court, which we wanted relief for.
Okay.
So we went through this back in April, and a few things were raised by this board, by a concerned neighbor, and by Candace. So I'll go through the concerns raised by the board and how we would like to address.
Yelling outside and open up.
What happened?
They're just loud outside.
Oh, I mentioned you.
Candace is like, what did I say?
Candace was the one that said it's on the wetlands inventory, so that's why. So the first was the actual height of the structure, this pergola. It is 9 feet tall from its base, with 8 feet of headroom on relief. So regardless of how we manipulate it, we're going to need relief because you can't get much less than 7 feet of headroom under a pergola for it to be safe. Concerns with the amount of asphalt on the northern end of the property. That was what John raised last time. In response, we cut it in half. So the sport court on that northern end was actually double the size. Part of it was for parking. I'm accrediting it to John, that's how I remember it, had concerns with the amount of asphalt, concerns that we didn't need that excess parking, and asked that we remove it and limit it to the sports court, which the applicant is fine doing. We'd also be
resurfacing and putting grass in.
And put grass there, absolutely.
So you don't need accessory parking in the required front yard.
That's where we're withdrawing that variance. We'd also remove the apron and curb cut.
Right.
We'd like to keep the gate. The reason we'd like to keep the gate is it provides practical service aspect to that rear yard, because otherwise coming through the driveway for landscapers, deliveries, stuff like that becomes very difficult. But it will not be a parking area. It'll be a gate for screening and service access only. Lighting was a concern. That was the concern raised by the neighbor. She put this picture up that looked like a lighthouse, I will admit it. And it was jarring. So I spoke with the applicant and I said, I didn't realize that it was lit. I don't think they were trying to hide that. I just didn't think. I think that they realized upon the concerns that was something that was going to be concerning. They will remove all lighting, and you can make that a condition.
Perfect.
You can take that one step further. Is there any expectation that you can make this dark sky compliant?
It'll have to be dark skies compliant. But the pergola itself was lit, and the neighbors brought in pictures that were pretty jarring. Mm-hmm. We will remove all lighting, and you can make that a condition of the variance.
Okay.
Candace raised it was on the wetlands inventory. She left, but she did. And I had said it's not within wetlands jurisdiction. We were both right. It's not within wetlands jurisdiction, but it was within the wetlands inventory. So it was referred to Marty. And the reason we kept adjourning was we were waiting on his response. Well, we have it now. He notes that legalizing the rooftop gazebo, as he called it, is unlikely to result in immediate adverse environmental impact. He does say, however, that any approvals will set a precedent for increased intensity of development in environmentally sensitive areas. So again, Mr. Shea has no jurisdiction here, but that was his concern. Taken from that is this pergola will have no adverse environmental impact generally. He had concern with the parking to the east. That is permitted. That is not, we're not seeking relief for that. So that's not a concern of this board. And if Marty wants to relay those to the building department, that's certainly his prerogative. But the board is not considering those courts. And he had concerns with the asphalt in the northern part, and that's being reduced in half. So he was looking at it at its full amount. So that's being reduced in half. So if, as I recall from the previous application, again, the concerns were with the neighbors. One, that yard had been, we thought that the northern yard was overly paved and developed, and the compromise was take away the parking and leave the court. That's been done. The lighting on the pergola was a major concern. That will be removed, and please make it a condition. I got zero pushback on that from the applicant. I think there was even confusion with the applicant that it was lit, so they were fine removing it. We referred it to Marty. He noted the pergola had no environmental impact. The one thing he did note had an impact that was in this, that's before this board, is that parking area, which again is being reduced in half. So
what's the total coverage, lot coverage with the?
It's within permitted levels. We're not asking
Is
for
it the
relief.
18% or something that?
Its maximum is 20%, and existing is 18.5.
Right, that's with the removal of the parking area, so it's just the sports court and the other parking.
That's the
and
current. That's the current. That's right. And I think we were just at 20 with the old.
Yeah, no, I see it's like reduced.
So we're
that's
actually
good.
under by about 200 square feet.
Okay. I'm still concerned about the height. So tell me again about, because we're really strict about height, as you know.
Sure.
I mean, we very rarely grant variance on height. We grant variance on pyramid relief, but when it comes to height, we try to hold the line. So you're telling me that the height relief you're asking for is what?
So the top height of this structure, again, and if you recall in the last time I was here, we went through structures that were exempt from height restrictions, like chimneys and items like that. And I equated this pergola to that because it's not finished space, it's not conditioned space. It's this sort of utility element of the home. But we discussed it with Katie, and we'll admit it is not in the list of exemptions.
That's right.
So you do need a variance.
Right.
The highest in the town that a principal structure can be is 32 feet.
Right.
Now, when you're in that flood zone, you get the benefit of the relief. So you're in an AE 10 zone, which means you have to build at 10 above
Right.
natural
So that
grade.
gives you 42.
10 is
Right.
42, plus freeboard is 2,
That's 44.
44.
And what are you at?
We're at, but you don't get 44 because they have an overall cap of 42.
Okay.
So regardless of how impacted
Okay.
you are by FEMA,
Okay. Right.
have that
So it's
overall
still
cap.
at 42. And
so
you
it's
are
still at 42. My point, again, was not to confuse, but to say if that cap wasn't there,
Yeah.
we're only about a foot over what would be permitted.
Wait
but
a
the
minute.
cap is there.
So wait, when you say we're at 42,
You're not.
42 is what's allowed.
Right.
Max.
42 is what's allowed.
Right. So, but
Right.
you're still at 45.8.
45.8. That's right.
And what would be the consequence of bringing it down to meet the 42?
You would have a
Well, you'd have a 5
6-foot
foot
pergola.
thing. Yeah. You'd have,
That
it wouldn't be utility.
only us short people could go under.
And the concern, again, with the structure is there is a rooftop deck that's permitted. There naturally is going to be a shade element on that deck. And this was a secured shade element as opposed to an umbrella, which could fly away.
What is the function of the pergola?
It's shade.
Just shade.
Shade, yeah.
For people.
For people,
Like,
yes.
what are they doing?
Well, whatever you do on a rooftop
Lounging
deck.
on the roof.
Yeah,
Hanging out
yeah.
and drinking.
Yeah.
Rooftop deck.
Some would hang out and drink, some would lounge.
Some would
When
sleep.
you sleep, yeah.
All right, and there's no intent to enclose this in any way. In other
No.
words, because we've had applications where that has come up. You know, they've been approved and then all of a sudden they're enclosing them. It's
We can make that
issue with
condition, too.
roofs and, you know, all sorts of
Absolutely
things.
make it a condition. There's no intent. If we were to do that, we'd have to come back. And also, that would be GFA, increasing GFA, so those would be concerns.
And there's been nothing from the neighbors about the pergola?
There has.
Oh, yeah,
very
there
nice.
has.
They're very-
Yeah.
I'm sorry, missed that whole thing.
But then
Okay.
we would address the lighting. we
Also,
would
they
address-
don't love the
lighting.
outdoor deck
Got it.
because of privacy concerns.
That's true. But the deck exists.
They can do anything about it, yeah.
Right, no, I understand that. I'm with the chair in terms of my concern about the height. I don't want to give that up.
And-
I
and-
think we're opening a Pandora's box.
And you know, I guess you could try to make an argument that this is open aired and blah blah blah, but I think it's a problem. We really have been very strict on height.
Even in the FEMA zones.
Yes, well the max is 42.
Why
I
can't,
mean, you know, you can go up to 42. That's a pretty tall building and that's a pretty tall structure, but
It becomes essentially 30 though, because we can't start a building before 12. So if you look at it that way,
I understand.
Right, and
But
that's
the-
why you
but-
get the
But the
40.
codes, yeah.
that's
the
why you
codes.
get. But yes, but what would otherwise be, if without FEMA, you'd have 32 feet to work in, and here we only have 30.
so
But-
what, I'm late to this application. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Alan.
Alan, go ahead.
Can you hear her?
I think it said 8 feet.
9 feet.
9 feet.
That's to the roof, not the
Yeah.
ceiling.
What do you mean?
Can I do it? I could. Yeah. This is the point of the application, so I don't.
But there was I'm sorry, Helen. There was very strong opposition to the pergola at the last year.
There was one opponent who made a very
Very compelling
vehement.
argument.
Yes.
And that was beyond the lighting issue.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, I
just
think the
look.
I remember the primary concern was the lighting.
Well, it was very dramatic when she put the lighting on. Yes.
That's what I remember
Yeah.
in my nightmares. Yeah.
Yes. Kevin, you wanted to say
Well,
something.
Again, I apologize because I wasn't on the board when you were last here, but I mean, I had the concern about height too, because we are having applications where everybody comes in and says, we just want one little piece of wood that goes over one edge, and then 6 weeks or a month later, it's we want one more right next to it. It never ends, right? So the question is, can you go to the 42 that you're at, and is there another finish to the top of this structure that is seasonal, it's temporary, it's not permanent, it's not having some of the concerns that people are expressing, which would be captured under the guise of an alternative that meets your need or your applicant's need, but also meets our concerns.
So you're saying like a temporary sort of cover, or
Like an umbrella.
I've seen some
Canvas,
I've seen some canvas.
Canvas.
seasonal
Better.
canvas applied?
Yeah,
A sun sail.
I don't know.
Things like that.
More
I
stable than
I don't.
umbrella.
You don't want me designing your project, but the point is, as an alternative to something that is a permanent structure and it's there year round. I mean, nobody's under a pergola in January, I think.
no?
Well, I think what would wind up happening is we would just decline to approve a variance for these pergolas, and they would have to figure out what they're going to do on their own.
That's another option.
I agree with that.
But the option creates a scenario where they could theoretically compromise with a temporary structure, which is not as secured, and then poses a threat to.
And
you're
that
on-
they take
you're
up with their insurer.
On the water, it's wet.
So the question is, can you carve? I understand the concern with precedent. Can you carve this out
No.
so the rule you're creating is something that you would be willing to stand behind? We're
No,
talking
because
about.
everybody's going to come in with a pergola
On a flat roof.
And
on a flat roof. I just think they will, Carl. I mean, in all honesty.
They already are.
They already are. And, you know, it's like.
so,
Go
may
ahead.
I just add, I live fairly close to this, but across the road, and I walk here. it seems out of character to me for what else is going on in that neighborhood, the pergolas, and in addition to the fact that they're problematic in terms of needing an exemption. Were I a neighbor, I would make noise about this.
I think you have a problem with the pergola. I think, you've done a good
You
job.
have a problem with pergola.
Well, but I'm putting it back to you because I think knowing you, it's your problem.
Carl.
All right, so thank you very much for what you have done on this
very
application, which
timely.
is the, sports court and, talking about the lighting, but if there's no pergolas, the lighting's not gonna be an issue. I have a problem with the pergola.
At any height?
If you can get it to 42,
Well, then we don't need you for 42.
that's
Right.
right.
I don't know how we can do that. What's it at? 9 feet now at 45 and a half. So 3.5. It's not gonna
Mm-mm.
happen. Can we keep it open once more?
Sure.
I'll talk to the
Yeah.
applicant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because right now you've got the sports court. I think everybody's, it
Yeah.
sounds like the board is
The
fine with
gate
that.
seems like okay.
Cut it down.
She's not happy with it?
No, she's
No.
not, but that's okay.
That's why. Thanks, Helen. When are we gonna get to see you in person again? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right, so let's leave, this is mine.
How much, how,
This is
I
mine.
just need to talk to him, so as soon as you're willing.
All right, you want to come back on, I don't have Candace here, but can we schedule you for the 18th of July?
Sure.
Candace,
Candace.
do we have room for Carl on the 18th of July?
We have 13 on.
it's either that or A1.
I don't think it matters to me. You wanna push it out further? That's fine.
Candace is gonna check.
All right, Candace, we're going to adjourn this one more time. So can you give us,
All right.
How's 718?
or you were willing to consider other things?
718.
Yeah, I'm happy to go longer if that's easier.
With 718 right now, you only have 13.
Me or the board?
The board. The board. I was actually trying to see when you come back again.
I'm
But
coming
it's
back,
October.
the other ones you adjourned in September and
That's
October.
in October.
You want to
That's why
adjourn?
you get through the summer with it.
What?
That's what you
First? I mean, I don't know.
Let's do September.
What do you have?
Yeah, this way he gets through the whole summer with the pergola.
Oh.
Oh, yes,
What is
okay.
it? Since I wasn't in the room, what is
Yeah,
coming back
exactly.
for? Just,
The
pergola.
the removal of the pergola.
Everything else.
He's just going to confirm the removal of the pergola.
Well-
Where did you adjourn my other list?
Right, because the other relief
October.
we were okay with.
Yeah, it's,
No, there was
you
two.
get the whole summer in.
Yeah, exactly.
October 3rd.
He'll get the summer
Yeah,
in.
you did.
So you want
October.
September? You want September? You want August?
I mean, I'm coming back October 3rd on this. You wanna just do it then?
That's fine.
All right,
Is that okay
October.
with the board?
All right,
It's up to the board.
September or October at this point doesn't make a difference, so.
10-3.
Okay, so
10-3.
we're going to adjourn this until, when is it, 10:03?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Mastonio?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye. Okay, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Have a good summer.
Good night.
Thanks.
Okay, we're up to decision.
Get it down.
Oh, yeah.
We have a lot of them.
Okay. Huh?
There's a couple of them.
We have an amended decision. Oh, we've got some decisions.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I have to call it. Number 16 on the agenda, Paul Gretsch et al. 4 White Oak Lane, Tuckahoe, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-129-1-2.28.
Okay, I have a decision, an amended decision in that. Since the two of you will be abstaining on this, I'm going to read the decision. Okay. This is Paul Gresh et al. At Suffolk County Tax Map 900-129-1-2.28. On May 16, 2024, this board, by decision number D024051, modified variances granted for a proposed swimming pool, granting a setback of 14.4 feet where 15.7 was previously granted, and 13.9 feet was actually constructed and issued a certificate. At the public hearing on this modification, the board discussed the proposed location of the pool equipment to support the pool that also requires variances. This setback was inadvertently omitted from the decision. As such, ZBA decision number D024051 is hereby amended to grant relief from Town Code Section 330-77G, placement of accessory building structures and uses in resident districts, for a setback of 5.6 feet where 10 feet is required from all property lines, for the location of the proposed pool equipment as shown on the survey prepared by Jeffrey W. Hatterer of Twin Forks Land Surveying, last revised January 4, 2024. All other provisions and conditions of decision number D024051 remain in full force and effect. Is there a
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Abstain.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Abstain.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye. Okay. Helen, there's a decision for you. I'm going to let John read it. John, can you read?
Yep, that's Bob.
40.
I think it's mine.
40 Ocean View.
Oh, absolutely.
You want me to read that one?
That's yours.
That's fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is
Yes,
40
I'm sorry. We didn't realize.
40 Ocean View Drive, LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-271-1-44. This application is for property located at 40 Ocean View Drive, Shinnecock Hills. Applicant requests a setback for proposed air conditioner units and pool equipment on a narrow, undersized lot. During the course of the public hearing, it was discovered that, 1, the pyramid encroachment previously granted by this board was calculated incorrectly, and number 2, the applicant has modified the house plans previously approved by this board to enclose an architectural feature that was approved to remain open. While the board finds that the request for this air conditioning unit and pool equipment passes the standards set forth in New York State town law and town code and will correct the record to reflect the correct pyramid approachment, it is not inclined to modify any decision to allow for the enclosure of the architectural feature on the dwelling. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-77G, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residential districts to allow proposed air conditioner condensing units and pool equipment to be located 2 feet from the eastern property line where 10 feet is required as shown on the survey prepared by Nathan Taft Corwin III, Land Surveyor, last revised April 5th, 2024. In addition, this board clarifies that any architectural features constructed on the top of the proposed dwelling must remain open and that the dwelling must be constructed pursuant to the plans approved by this board in decision number D022087 as prepared by Brian Glasser, architect, last revised June 24th, 2022. To the extent that the open architectural feature results in a larger period encroachment than was granted, this board modifies ZBA decision number D022087 to memorialize the correct pyramid encroachment of 1,978 cubic feet as shown on the volume calculation prepared by Studio B+M Architectural, last dated April 25th, 2024. No certificate shall be issued for any building or structure on the subject premises until this architectural feature is either removed or complies with this decision. The granting of this relief is subject to other such conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Abstain.
Ms. Burgess? Mr. McDonald?
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. Okay, let's see. Bob, you're on a roll. Do you want to continue?
Doesn't matter.
Go ahead. Yeah, you've got one on page 1.
That's it.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Kate, the one on page 1, where does it end on page 2? Because it's something crossed out.
Which one? I don't know which one you're reading.
Deborah Wilson.
It just ends.
Deborah Wilson?
It should end
It
with
just
final
right at
approval
the
of the
bottom of
subject
it.
from.
This is part of it.
No,
Okay.
right here.
Okay, this is for,
Wait,
you see what I'm
yeah,
saying?
no, yeah, it just ends
Where
right
the
here.
next page goes, it's weird.
Yeah, I know, but it's not, I don't have that. so.
Oh, I have, yeah, I have.
Okay, you got a crazy copy. Just go to the end of the page.
Okay. This application, Deborah Wilson, Spearfold, Suffolk County, tax map 900-52-2-42.44. This application is property located at 56 Becky's Path, Bridgehampton. Applicant requests a variance for modest pyramid encroachment for proposed second-story addition to an existing house. The applicant passes the standards set forth in New York State town law and town code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-84D, pyramid law, for a sky plane encroachment of 366 cubic feet on the east side for a proposed second-story addition as shown on the survey prepared by Nathan Corwin III, land surveyor of Rayner Group. Last surveyed January 5th, 2024, and the floor plans and elevation prepared by Drew B. Bennett, professional engineer, issued December 19th, 2023, and the height pyramid diagram prepared by Drew Bennett, engineer, dated November 3rd, 2023. Grant of the foregoing is subject to other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mrs. Kane?
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. Okay, Bob, you're on a roll, and then John can go on a
Michael
roll.
Canacchio, Suffolk County, tax map 900-351-2-14.
What? Which one is this?
Michael
Michael.
Cian.
Oh, Ciancio?
Ciancio, sorry.
Okay.
This application is properly located at 28 River Avenue, Eastport. Applicant requests a variance to legalize an existing front covered porch constructed by a previous owner. While this board does not condone construction done without permits, it does find the applicant passes the standards set forth in New York State town law and town code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-115C, continuance for a principal front yard setback of 33 feet where 39 feet is pre-existing to legalize an existing front covered porch constructed without the benefit of building permit as shown on the survey prepared by Ralph Heald, licensed surveyor, dated April 9, 2024, and the plans and elevations prepared by Jason Ormond, last dated November 9, 2023. Grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Abstain.
Ms. Burgess? Mr. McDonald?
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. Okay, I think you've got one more,
One more.
Bob? Yeah.
This is for Airpac 79 Holdings LLC, Suffolk County tax map 900-211-6-1. This application is for property located at 790 County Road 39, Tuckahoe. Applicant requests a variance for a proposed sign at Carvel where the building was constructed pursuant to a front yard variance granted by this board. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State town law and town code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of Town Code. 1. Town Code Section 330-205B1 and 2, general provisions to allow a proposed freestanding sign to be located on the north side of the property with a front yard setback of 3.7 feet where a minimum setback of 20 feet is required, and to allow said freestanding sign to be located on a parcel where the entire building is set back at a distance of less than 40 feet. And 2, Town Code Section 330-84D, pyramid law, for a freestanding sign on the north side of the property to have a pyramid encroachment in the amount of 18 cubic feet as shown on the survey of Michael Minto, last dated July 20th, 2023, and the sign plan prepared by Sean Leonard, last revised May 16th, 2024. The grant of this relief is subject to conditions and other permits as applicant has hereto acquired or may otherwise be necessary for final approval of the premises.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Abstain.
Mr. McDonald?
Abstain.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye. Okay, John?
Okay, have a decision in the application of Hampton Bays Connections Incorporated, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-221-3-18.12. This application is for property located at 196 West Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays. Applicant requests variances for proposed signs at an existing McDonald's where a second drive-through lane was approved by the town. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State town law and the town code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1. For 6 freestanding signs, Section 330-205B3, General Provisions, Section 330-131H, Drive-Through Establishments, and Section 330, Attachment 9, to allow 6 freestanding signs, 2 pre-menu signs, 2 menu signs, and 2 canopy signs, where only 1 freestanding sign is permitted. Section 330-207A, illuminated signs, and Section 330-24805Q, specific planned development districts, to allow 6 internally illuminated freestanding signs in Hampton Bay's West Commercial Industrial Plan Development District, HBWCIPDD zone, where an illuminated sign shall only be allowed in highway business zoning districts. Section 330-205B4, general provisions, to allow the 6 freestanding signs to be constructed of different metal, where all such signs shall be made only of wood or wood-appearing material. And Section 330-210.1C, design guidelines for the use of multiple colors for the freestanding menu and pre-menu digital signs, where only 3 colors are allowed. 1 for background, 1 for a contrasted color for the lettering, and the 3rd color perhaps for emphasis, such as for borders, motifs, or shading lettering to give it a 3-dimensional look. 2. For 2 proposed internally illuminated single-sided freestanding digital menu board signs on 2 drive-through lanes, Section 330-131.2D, restaurants drive-through, to allow the proposed signs to have an area of 19.99 square feet each, where no freestanding order or menu boards shall be permitted. 3. For 2 proposed pre-browse board digital signs on 2 drive-through lanes, Section 330-132.2D, to allow the proposed signs to have an area of 10 square feet each, where no freestanding order or menu boards shall be permitted. And 4. For 2 internally illuminated springboard canopy order here signs with speaker, to allow the proposed signs where no canopy sign shall be permitted. And Section 330-131.1R, restaurants fast food, to allow the use of outdoor speakers for placing orders where no outdoor speakers are permitted. These variances are granted for signs as shown in the signage plan C1 and SP1 SP4, prepared by Brian L. Searcy, P.E. of Core States Architectural and Engineering, P.C., last revised March 17, 2023, Revision 1. The grant of the variances is subject to the conditions of such other permits as the applicant has heretofore acquired or may otherwise be necessary, including compliance with Town Code Chapter 235 noise.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Abstain.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
Okay, I have a decision in the application of Sarah Coyne and Alexander Nedelkovic, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-345-1-48.1. This application is for property located at 34 Mineola Court, Hampton Bays. Applicant seeks variances for a proposed addition and porch to an existing house and for a proposed garage on a non-conforming lot burdened by wetlands, 2 front yards, and located in a flood zone. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1. For a proposed house addition and porch on the south side of the property, Town Code Section 330-115 continuance for a principal front yard setback of 41.3 feet where 43.8 feet is pre-existing, and a principal rear yard setback of 66.1 feet where 66.9 feet is pre-existing. And 2. For a proposed detached garage, Town Code Section 330-11 Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory front yard setback of 20 feet where 70 feet is required, an accessory rear yard setback of 15 feet where 20 feet is required, and Town Code Section 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and Town Code Section 330-83C yards, to allow the detached garage to be located within the required front yard for the principal building, as shown on the survey prepared by Robert A. Smith, Squires Holden, Weisenbacher, and Smith, last revised February 29, 2024, and the floor plans and elevations for the proposed garage prepared by Alfredo Salsano, R.A. of Salsano Associates, last dated February 29, 2024. This decision is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Abstain.
Mr. McDonald?
Abstain.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye. Okay, I have 3. I don't think I'm going to speak them as quickly as John,
John is very fast.
but
Somewhere to go tonight.
yeah. I have a decision in the matter of Emil Trotta, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-258-2-22. This application is for property located at 74 Shore Road, Hampton Bays. Applicant requests a single and separate determination and variances for proposed dwelling on a lot burdened by 2 front yards. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board finds that the subject premises, that is, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-258-2-22, is held in single and separate ownership from all adjacent parcels and thus entitled to relief pursuant to Town Code Section 330-115D. This board also grants relief from Town Code Section 330-6 General Regulations as it relates to Section 330-11 Resident Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal front yard setback of 34 feet from the westerly property line, East Tiana Road, and 30.5 feet from the southerly property line, Shore Road, where 40 feet is required for a new dwelling. As shown on the survey prepared by Jeffrey W. Hatterer, LS, last dated October 17, 2023, and the plans and elevations prepared by Brian Timothy Morgan, PE, dated June 2023. Grant of the foregoing is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
No.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye. Okay, I have 2 more. I have a decision in Mickey and Allison Bever Clausen, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-31-2-20-2-4. This application is for property located at 32 Oak Grove Drive, Road, North Sea. Applicants request variances for a proposed second-story addition and existing deck to a 1-story dwelling on a non-conforming lot burdened by wetlands and 2 front yards. As modified with the height of the dwelling conforming, this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed second-story addition to an existing 1-story dwelling on a non-conforming lot. 1. Town Code Section 330-84D Pyramid Law for a sky plane encroachment to the west lot line and northeast lot lines for a total of 31.6 cubic feet, 30.4 cubic feet on the east side and 1.2 cubic feet on the west. And Town Code Section 330-83A4 yards to legalize an existing deck that is higher than 1 foot above ground level to remain within the required front yard at the setback of 10.2 feet from the easterly property line, Oak Grove Road, as shown on the survey prepared by Jeffrey W. Hatterer, LS of Twin Forks Land Surveying, last dated June 3rd, 2024, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by Kevin Mark Paul R.A., last dated May 17, 2024. Grant of the foregoing is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired, may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including the removal of the existing shed prior to the issuance of any certificates on the premises.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. No. All right, chair votes aye. And one last one. 342 Field House, LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-56-3-8. This application is for property located at 342 Wayne Scott Harbor Road, Sagaponack. Applicant requests variances for a proposed 2-story detached garage with finished space above, as modified to have the height of the building comply with town code, as well as remove the full bathroom. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed 2-story detached garage with finished space above Section 330-11 Resident Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory distance from street front yard setback of 65.1 feet where 90 feet is required, and 2, Town Code Section 330-76D, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in resident districts and Town Code Section 330-83C yards to allow the detached garage to be located within the required front yard for the principal building as shown on the survey prepared by David L. Saskas, LS, last dated March 29, 2024, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by Ricardo Romo Leroux, RA, last dated June 1st, 2024. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises and is conditioned upon there being no cooking or sleeping in the proposed garage building, as well as the bathroom remaining as a half bath.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
Is that it?
That's it. Do I have a motion?
Close.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.